You're listening to The Jacob Valk Show. He's breaking down the latest and greatest in sports as only he can. Follow him on Twitter at RealJacobValk. Here he is, Jacob Valk.
That's right, this show is just for the NBA fans, the 2021 NBA Mock Draft Special here on the Jacob Valk Show. I am the Jacob Valk, and you're not. Fortunately, though, you don't need to be to participate in this Mock Draft Special. Because, as you know, I don't do this alone. I have one of my best friends helping me out. You know him. You love him. It's Nick Ohrnberger. Nick, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing very, very well, Jacob. It's good to hear your voice. And I'm really excited to do this again. I believe this is our second time now doing this, or maybe our third. I don't know how long we've been doing this together.
This is our second NBA mock draft, fourth overall. Doesn't it feel like we just did the NBA mock draft with guys like Anthony Edwards, LaMelo Ball, guys like that?
Yeah, and I think it's going to be very interesting this time around because I feel like that draft was a little stacked. This one's going to have to require a lot more thought and a lot more effort to make sure the right teams are getting the right players. So I'm really excited to get started.
Yeah, should be a lot of fun. If you need clarification on the rules, I'm going to go first. I'll be picking for the Detroit Pistons. Nick will go second. He'll be picking for the Houston Rockets. I'm going to do the Cavs. Nick is going to do the Raptors, etc., etc. This is going to be who we would pick. So, if I think that Cade Cunningham is a bad prospect, I'm not going to take him. If Nick thinks that Luka Garza is the second best player in this draft, Nick will take Garza. We're not going to do any trades. This is going to be who we would pick. Again, I want to clarify that. Nick, do the rules seem clear to you?
Oh, my goodness, so clear. Crystal, sir.
All right. So, the Detroit Pistons have been on the clock for a while. We know who they're going to take. This guy is a really, really good prospect. What's the one knock on Ben Simmons? That he doesn't have a shot. What have we been saying? If you put a shot on Ben Simmons, he'd be lethal. Absolutely lethal. Well, that's what this guy is. It's Cade Cunningham. Fantastic size, fantastic vision, really good shot. The only knock that I have for Cunningham is that Oklahoma State really wasn't conducive to his style of play, so it may take him a little bit to really get going in the NBA. But you know what? The same thing happened with Anthony Edwards. It looks like the Timberwolves did really well with him. Nick, what are your thoughts on Cunningham?
You said everything that needs to be said. This kid is going to be an absolute freak. He's already a freak. His size is incredible for the position. He's extremely fast. My only concerns, really, along with the concerns you have, are that out of his triple threat stance, anytime he comes to a complete stop, it seems to take him a little time to explode into movement. He's got an awkward body. He'll grow into it as the years keep going. So I don't think that'll be a problem. But a little bit of trouble in traffic when he's going to the rim as well. So those things got to get cleaned up. And the NBA game, I think, is not – I don't think this is a guy who's going to come out and shine right away. I think it's going to take a degree of polishing. But what do the Pistons need? They need shot creation, and they need a good shooter on the perimeter. Cade Cunningham brings that to the table.
And plus, no one's expecting the Pistons to be great overnight, so they can afford to take their time and develop him properly. Cade Cunningham, very well.
Which is huge, yeah.
Yeah. So We move on now to the Houston Rockets. Nick, since you have just taken over the Rockets, I would like to thank you for trading James Harden to my Nets.
It was only too much my pleasure.
The Nets are going to win the title next year. The Bucks get no time to celebrate. We're all We're all ready to go next year. Brooklyn Nets in 2022. What are the Rockets do?
Listen, you know me. I'm big on drafting for positions of need, but I'm also a pragmatist. Every part of my pragmatic part myself wants to pick Evan Mobley out of USC because they desperately need a power forward center to kind of shore up that front court. But you just can't pass on a kid like Jalen Green. There is absolutely no way I'm going to let Jalen Green sit here at 2 and pass him over. There is just absolute explosion out of this kid. He's got the perfect frame. He's a classic-looking shooting guard. One of the best finishers I've seen in a long time coming out of college. I am so excited to watch this kid play. He is going to be good from the jump. He needs to put on weight. He's going to get pushed around, and he needs to learn to move the ball a little better. I don't know if Houston's the best place for him to go for that. But having said that, the NBA is moving away from these ISO-heavy guards, so he'll have to adjust. But I really like Jalen Green, and I think he's the no-brainer at number 2.
Green really helped his stock out playing for the NBA G League Ignite, the college alternative that the NBA put in place. And I think that's a great idea. I love this era of student-athlete empowerment. Give the players money, give the players a legitimate alternative to the NCAA. I just think that's a really good job by Adam Silver. Green is incredibly fast. His shooting got better all throughout the bubble. You know, it's kind of funny. The names that you hear thrown out for Jalen Green for player comps are Hall of Famers, guys like Ray Allen, Clyde Drexler, even Kobe Bryant, rest in peace. I'm not going to do that. You know I love my player comps. I've got a weird player comp for Jalen Green. You ready?
I'm ready.
Eddie Jones.
Now, you know what? That's actually a pretty interesting one because I don't think anybody's made that comparison yet. I haven't seen it. But I get it. Similar size, similar frame, and similar game style. I really like the comparison. That's actually a pretty darn good one. Sorry, go ahead.
I also think it's really unfair to compare him right away to guys like Allen, Drexler, and Bryant. Those are 3 Hall of Famers. Can Green turn into a great player? The answer is yes, and I like Jalen Green. I like the pick. There's no question about that. But to compare him to 3 of the greatest players in NBA history before he's ever stepped on the floor, I think that's absurd.
And by the way, Eddie Jones is no schlub either. This is a guy who had a long career, played with the Lakers. I think he spent some time with the Heat.
Right.
A bunch of teams. He was kind of a journeyman, but I mean, an NBA All-Star. I think he led steals one year. This is a good comparison. The only thing I'll say is his defense needs to get up to snuff. Jalen Green does. I don't know if it's going to translate yet.
I agree 100%. So we move on to the Cleveland Cavaliers now. A forgotten part in the James Harden trade. That's how they got Jared Allen. And speaking of Jared Allen, Evan Mobley would be the pick here, but Evan Mobley and Jared Allen cannot play together, and I don't think it's a stretch to say that Jared Allen is a future building block for the Cavaliers. I was sorry to see him go from the Nets. It was the right decision. There's no question. You know, the Cavaliers just picked Darius Garland when they had Colin Sexton, and now we're seeing Sexton trade rumors. You can't mess that up again. You can't take a player at a position when you already have a building block at that position. The Cavs need a power forward. I don't trust Kevin Love at all, unfortunately, because I do like Love and his drop-dead gorgeous wife. So Well, she is. She's at an Islanders game, an Islanders playoff game with Love. So I'm going to surprise some people a little bit. I think this is the best move for the Cavs. I'm going to go with another member of the Ignite, Jonathan Kuminga. Really great size, 6'8", 225 pounds, 7-foot wingspan. He can stretch the floor. He's a modern-day NBA power forward. I really like his defense. Look, his approach to the game needs to be cleaned up a little bit. I'm not crazy about his decision-making. I'm not crazy about, his attitude. From what I've gathered, he's not the most coachable guy in the world, but you know what? The guy's really young, okay? That can be cleaned up. I don't mind that. Jonathan Kuminga reminds me a lot of a guy like Sean Marion. That's his ceiling. What are your thoughts on that?
I like the Sean Marion comparison. Long career, another guy that was NBA All-Star, perennially, NBA All-Star. Marion was one of these guys who could he's just a jack of all trades, master of none, and I feel like this kid is going to be similar to it. But I guess my only concerns with a guy like Jonathan Kuminga is when he starts to drive to the hoop, and he does. He's one of these. He's not a power forward that's not trying to get to the rim. Head down, just barreling through guys. And from what I understand, look, he's going to be. You can tell just by body size, he's going to be a decent defender. But right now, I just don't think he's going to be a good defender on the NBA stage. Not right away. However, I do think that a place like Cleveland, in that environment, would be a good place for him. And again, a place where no one expects this kid to be making big strides right away. They have time. He can progress. He can go through the process of becoming an NBA player, put on a little bit more weight. I think if he's going to play power forward, he's going to have to put on a little bit more weight. He may grow a little more. We'll see. But I agree with you. He's a big, long guy, and he's going to be good. I don't know how good, but he's going to be a very good player moving forward.
There is something called being drafted by the wrong team. Jonathan Kuminga, if he goes to the Cavs, will be drafted by the right team. Evan Mobley, if he goes to the Cavs, drafted by the wrong team.
And a team that didn't need him if Evan Mobley went there. I'm glad that you did this, but yeah, no, I agree with you. I totally agree with you.
This does open up an interesting possibility for the Toronto Raptors. They really need a shooting guard. They really need a center. Where are you going? You really can't do any wrong here.
I can, look, listen, Jake, you give me enough time, I'll find a way to screw this up.
You'll be filling the waiver.
No. Look, if you took Mobley, I was obviously probably going to go Jalen Suggs. But unfortunately now, with Mobley on the board at a position of dire need, and I do mean dire need for the Toronto Raptors, they were beaten up inside all year long. They were a punching bag for most teams. The only thing I have with Evan Mobley is obviously, yes, I'm taking Mobley. The only thing I have, it does not seem like this guy wants it enough on the backboard. As far as rebounding is concerned, he needs to get into better position, box people out, use good technique, and be physical. He's a physical defender, but he seems to shy away from rebounding for whatever reason. And I know that sounds crazy for a guy his size, but it's just the truth. Second knock, just needs to put on more muscle. This kid is skinny. And I think I'm more jacked than Evan Mobley, and I'm 6'2". Right? So the kid needs to put on some weight. He needs to put on some muscle. He's a huge wingspan that's going to help him. He's a great defender, but he's got to be more active on the boards, and he's got to put on the weight. And I think he will, and he'll be good. This is a perfect place for him to wind up, by the way.
It's kind of interesting. We're living in an era of NBA basketball where centers are less important than ever, but DeAndre Ayton had some big games for the Suns. Evan Mobley can do that for the Raptors. He can do that for whatever team he plays for. Really, really good frame. You're right that he needs to put on muscle, but he's 7 feet tall, and he's still growing into his body. I think he can add muscle. I like his shot mechanic. I think he can drain threes with regularity. I think he could have a DeAndre Ayton-type impact for his team. I really, really do.
I don't think that's out of this world. I think you're right there.
So the Orlando Magic are on the clock now. They have a ton of holes. Obviously, they traded a bunch of players at the deadline. Aaron Gordon, Nikola Vujovic, Evan Fournier. It's a new era of Magic basketball. They've got a solid young core with guys like Wendell Carter Jr., Jonathan Isaac, Mo Bamba. Not sure if those guys are going to, Markelle Fultz too. Not sure if those guys are ever going to win the Magic a title, but we'll see. They'll be a fun team regardless. Like I said, Magic have a ton of holes, and I'm going to fill one of them here. They really, really could use a guy like Scotty Barnes out of FSU. I'm surprised I'm not taking Jalen Suggs here, but I think for the Magic, Barnes fits them a little bit better. Really, really good defender. You put John Isaac and Scotty Barnes together, I mean, that's scary. There's no question about that. Really, really good size, really good length, can play multiple positions, can guard multiple positions. It's kind of funny. His player comp is John Isaac. The Magic are going to win games with defense. They're not going to win games scoring 120 points. You take a guy like Scotty Barnes, probably the best defender in this draft, that actually makes them kind of scary. What are your thoughts on that?
I like the pick, and Scotty Barnes is somewhat of an albatross in today's NBA. You don't see guys coming out of college. With this, I mean, you see the size a lot more. We're seeing more and more of these freaks come out of places. But A, with his size, but B, with his mobility, his ability to guard multiple positions, that's a trait that's going to jump right into the NBA. So, and especially with his wingspan, think about the passing lanes when they're playing zone. He's going to be able to get his hands in the way of passing. I wouldn't be shocked if this guy has like a steal and a half per game his first season. Couple things. He is one of these guys who's coming in with like an awkward shot, like a really awkward shot. So that worries me a little bit. And I mean, he's kind of a one-trick pony as far as his scoring. He's only going to do it one way, so teams are going to know how to defend him. But I like his size and everything. I think he's going to be fine in the NBA. I think most of his traits are just going to push forward. I'm shocked, by the way, you didn't take Suggs, but you know what? I don't think it's egregious.
See, I just feel like Barnes fits the Magic better than Suggs. The last thing on earth I want to do is send guys to a team where they're going to flounder. Like, Darius Garland was drafted by the wrong team. Okay, now they need to trade Colin Sexton. I feel bad for both of them. I remember Ben McLemore and Nick Stauskas about a decade ago with the Kings. I'm just very hyper-vigilant towards sending these guys to wrong teams. That's what it is.
Quick player comp, if you don't mind. He reminds me a lot of Maurice Harkless when he came out. So, and if he turns into Maurice Harkless, I think that's a pretty good place to be.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all. I like the John Isaac comp, but yeah, Mo Harkless is fine. I have no problem with that at all. The Oklahoma City Thunder are on the clock now at 6. They kind of got screwed over in the NBA draft lottery. Well, they did. They really needed a big pick. 6 is still good, but, it obviously could be better. Fortunately for them, they do have an impact player available here. I'm very surprised this worked out this way. What are the Thunder doing?
I mean, it's hard not to do it, but you know what? I mean, you have to look at needs also, and I don't know if the go-to guys here, but I think you kind of have to do what you have to do. What do they need? They need front court help badly. They have some snipers out there. They have some pretty good guards. But, I mean, when somebody falls in your lap, what do? You just kind of gobble them up. Yes, Jake, I am taking Jalen Suggs out of Gonzaga. I think it's hard to walk away from this for them, and they're probably going to wind up, if this does happen, if he does fall in their lap, they'll probably move some people around to help him make an impact. He's a little small for the shooting guard position, but the cool thing about him is you can kind of use him as a combo guard. He is an unbelievable guy in transition. Cuts to the basket like the freaking wind. And he's a good decision maker. All the time, this kid is making the right decisions as far as pick and rolls. He's calling his own plays sometimes, and I'm sure they're going to let him play with that in Oklahoma City. Bad problems when he's cold, and you got to get him off the floor and get him. When he's hot, he's hot. He's going to hit like 9 in a row. And when he's cold, boy, oh boy, is there no one colder in this draft. Other thing, I don't think he's as polished a rim finisher as I'd like, but he's a kid, and he'll get there. Jalen Suggs out of Gonzaga going to be with the Thunder.
And, of course, he already has the iconic moment, the shot from half court. I mean, he'll get Thunder fans excited. That's a fan base that really wants something to build around. How excited can you get about adding Kemba Walker at this stage in his career? Adding Suggs would really, really excite that fan base. I like this pick. This is the right decision. You can't have Suggs fall out of the top 6. He's Brandon Roy without the injury concern. Brandon Roy.
That is a good one.
Yeah, Brandon Roy without the injuries would have been great. Jalen Suggs is going to be great. I don't like that we had him split to 6. Let's redo
neither do I.
We're redoing this mock draft. No. The 7th overall pick goes to the Golden State Warriors. This pick originally belonged to the Minnesota Timberwolves, but the Timberwolves traded it for D'Angelo Russell. Really, really bad trade by them. Obviously, I like D'Angelo Russell, but where has it gotten the Timberwolves? Not very far. Golden State Warriors now have an opportunity to get a little younger. It's something that they kind of need, this core of Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green. Seems to be winding down. Thompson can't stay healthy. Draymond Green isn't a world beater anymore. Obviously, Steph Curry is still great, but I don't know if that core is ever going to win an NBA title again. I'd love to give the Warriors a center here, and there's one guy who I actually think fits them pretty darn well. I think he could work with James Wiseman. Wiseman starting, this guy off the bench, and may surprise some people, okay? A lot of people watching this draft are going to be scratching their head because they haven't seen this guy play. But if you watch his tape, you see a lot of talent there. I'm going to butcher his name. I apologize in advance. Alperen Sengun, out of Turkey, goes to the Golden State Warriors. Absolutely dominated at international play. His stats just jump off the charts. His interior scoring is incredible. I think he can develop his perimeter game a little bit. Doesn't turn 19 until late this month, so there's a lot of talent there. If you give Sengun an opportunity, he could turn into a really, really good role player. We're at this point in the draft where I don't feel like there were any world beaters. I think you're going to see a lot of role players, a lot of guys who can contribute but aren't going to make any all-star teams. I like the fit of Sengun. What are your thoughts on him?
The only reason I know anything about this guy, and I do mean anything, is because my brother texted me the other night, and he goes, "Have you seen this kid?" I'm like, "No." I've never seen him. Right. No, I for some reason just completely off my radar. This dude is going to be a problem. First of all, he's undersized for the position, but he's from Turkey. He's going to grow more. I think we all can agree on that. Second of all, what an active defender. What an active defender. I've watched some tape on him. His hand quickness when he's on ball defending, his rim protection, how elite and scorer he is. And not on top of that, this dude is a good free throw shooter. This isn't going to be a hack a Shaq kind of thing, even if he does grow. You know who he reminds me of? I mean, not the defensive side of him reminds me of? Because of his undersized, because he's a little undersized, he reminds me of Ben Wallace. You know what I mean? Like a European Ben Wallace.
He's not going to be the defender that Wallace was, though.
No, he's not. But I haven't seen a small guy play that position and play it so viciously in such a long time. So anyway, I love this pick. I think a lot of people, if they listen to this, be like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, well, watch the tape. Just watch the kid play. You'll understand.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you there 100%. Plus, it'll be nice to see some flying iPhones. I'll see the clip on Twitter if someone's listening to this and then someone's sending me their iPhone flying through the air. That'll be pretty fun. The eighth overall pick belongs to the Orlando Magic. They got this pick from the Chicago Bulls in the Nikola Vujovic trade. Where are the Magic going? Back on the clock.
I think this is an easy one. I'm going with, in my opinion, the best pure point guard in this draft, which they desperately need. They have their active defender / 3-and-D guy in Scotty Barnes. And this is a team that's going to have, throughout the first round, a lot of opportunity now with 2 picks to kind of reshore their team. I'm going Davion Mitchell right now out of Baylor. This kid, I mean, trophies galore, Nate Smith and Big 12 Defender of the Year, yada, 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 all that stuff. This kid is incredibly fast, quick on his feet. He's got, I don't compare anybody to him, and I'm not. He has near Steph Curry type handles. He's a great defender on the perimeter. His assist to turnover ratio is absurd for college. So I just think this kid's going to be good. Not to mention, he's shooting 45%. So I like the kid. Problems with him, doesn't have the size for the NBA, but we've said that about Steve Nash. We've said that about countless players over the years. He seems like the kind of guy that can get over it. The other problem, very rare for a point guard, horrible free throw shooter. I'm sure he's improved. He's improving. He'll get better, but that needs to get figured out. But yeah, I like this kid a lot. I think Davion Mitchell out of Baylor is going to go to Orlando. Overall.
Yeah, no, this is a pick I would have made. This is the 100% correct decision. Think about this starting 5 for a minute. You got Davion Mitchell, Markelle Fultz, Scotty Barnes, John Isaac, and Wendell Carter Jr. That's
not bad at all.
That should give you some optimism if you're a Magic fan. Like, those guys all have talent. They all have potential. Those guys can grow together and can turn into something special.
And don't forget, on the bench, you still have Terrence Ross. You have
Anthony.
Otto Porter Jr. There's
RJ.
That's going to be a sleeper team if I've ever heard one moving forward.
I was going to say, I wouldn't be surprised if the Magic snuck into the playoffs as the 8th seed. That wouldn't surprise me. Very, very quick rebuild. You said everything that needs to be said about Mitchell. I think you hit the nail on the head with everything. Player comp for him, I see a lot of Kemba Walker in him. a little bit of Jared Jack in him, former net. I really like Davion Mitchell. So the 9th overall pick belongs to the Sacramento Kings. Will the Kings ever be good? That's what I want to know.
Before you start, let me tell you about. Let's go through a little bit of the history of the Kings here between Tyreek Evans and Boogie Cousins and Brooks. They can't win. They can't win.
God. Hey, you know what? In all seriousness, the Bucks and Suns being in the NBA Finals actually should give Kings fans a little bit of hope, because those are tortured teams too. No one's more tortured than the Kings. So maybe, just maybe, they can get there soon. Although, most likely, probably not.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. I'm going to give the Kings a power forward. They really, really need one. This will be another off-the-wall pick. But, again, watch the tape. He jumps off the tape. I'm going to go with Usman Garuba out of Spain. Arguably the best defender in this draft, not named Scotty Barnes. Dominated for Real Madrid, a really, really talented team in Spain. His defense is just absurd. I mean, it jumps off the tape. His offensive game needs to be cleaned up. There is no question about that. But for a lockdown defender, you want a power forward, it's just going to be a lockdown defender. That is Usman Garuba. Reminds me a lot, and I mean a lot, of Kenneth Faried, former net. What are your thoughts on that?
I'll give you another one, Thabo Sefolosha. That's another guy, another forward. A little bigger than Sefolosha, but a guy who could not score for his life, but the only reason he's playing NBA basketball was to defend, period.
Right.
Here's my thing. I'm a big plus-minus guy. You know that. And if you're going to put minutes cost points. And if you're going to put a guy in a position as close to the rim as he's going to play, I got to tell you, the scoring needs to be a little bit better than this. I'm sure he'll get into it. He'll get better as we move on, as he comes into the league. His defense is otherworldly. Let's not. I'm not. He's NBA worthy. There's no way around it. But if he gets into the NBA and struggles, he will struggle for minutes. And I'm saying if he struggles on the defensive side. So he has to drag that offensive game along a little bit more. Otherwise, he's not going to play a lot, and he's going to be one of these guys who we'll put him out there for 12 minutes to shut down LeBron or to shut down Durant or to shut down whoever.
No one shut down Durant. What are you talking about?
Oh, I'm sorry. You're a Nets fan. I forgot. I like the pick. This is the right pick, but it comes with a lot of caveats. But I think you made the right pick regardless.
I'll say this. I'll say this. Out of the 9 guys that we've taken so far, I feel like Garuba has the highest bust potential. That's probably not what Kings fans want to hear. But again, you're getting a guy who could be a defensive stalwart in this league. I think it's worth the risk.
I think so too.
The 10th overall pick belongs to the New Orleans Pelicans. They really need to get this pick right. We've heard rumors of Zion being unhappy, B.I. being unhappy. God only knows what's going to happen with Lonzo Ball. God only knows what's going to happen with Steven Adams. God only knows what's going to happen with Eric Bledsoe. Nick, I hope you get this right. What are the Pelicans doing?
I don't know how you get this right. If there's one thing I've learned about the NBA, it's that once a guy decides, or at least starts alluding to the fact that he wants out, or it's possible he wants out, it's kind of hard to build around that. Having said that, what do you do for a guy like Zion specifically? You either get him a point guard, right? A point guard that is going to be heavily facilitating him, or you get him another running buddy down low to play alongside him. Unfortunately, Jake, you got to look down the draft board, and you got to look beyond any obvious picks. There's no big time centers out here right now. There's none. But there is a point guard, I think, that can bring the best out of Zion. And he's coming. Look, an extremely undersized one, I'll grant you. But there is a guy coming out this year. His name is Sharif Cooper. It's a reach. I know it's a reach. But he's a point guard out of Auburn. This dude, I think he averaged, he's a freshman, obviously, averaged like 20 points and 8 assists in college. He's a guy who can throw the lob passes like the day is long. Great, like these beautiful soft touch floaters. This is the draft's best passer. You give him to Zion Williamson. Because if there's anything going to keep him in New Orleans, it's going to be Lob City. And he will love it.
See, the thing with a guy like Cooper is his game is similar to Lonzo Ball in the sense of what he's going to give you offensively. Defensively, Ball's the better player. There's no question about that. Offensively, Cooper and Ball are very, very similar. I'm not the biggest Cooper fan in the world. He's just so blasted undersized. I think his defense is going to be a big issue for him. But, hey, he's really young. There is a chance he could grow a little bit. You're right that he's the draft's best passer. There's no question about that. And you're right, the Pelicans need a passer. If they're going to lose Lonzo Ball,
and they are.
Yeah, very possible. He could go to the Knicks. In all seriousness, Lonzo Ball could go to the Knicks.
Let me mute my phone while I scream. Wait, sorry, I forgot to mute.
Okay, that answers my next question.
I have no interest in Lonzo Ball. I don't want that family involved with my team at all. I think they're a cancer. And there's nothing wrong with the people. It's just this motif around this family, this Ball family. The Knicks have been the butt of all the jokes. We don't need to be the butt of another.
If you could add any point guard to the Knicks that we've heard bandied about in trade rumors, so don't say James Harden, don't say Kyrie Irving, don't say Trae Young. Any point guard that's been bandied about in trade rumors, we know the Knicks need a point guard. Who would it be?
Russell Westbrook. It's not even close.
Okay.
And the only reason I say that is because as much drama comes with Russell Westbrook, the effort always comes. This wall-to-wall, side-to-side effort comes with Russell Westbrook. You cannot measure that.
He gets the fan base excited. I'll say that. I'm not a Westbrook fan, but he gets that fan base excited.
Yeah.
And I kind of like the idea of Russell Westbrook and Julius Randle playing together. Like that.
I have my own opinions about Julius Randle, but Russell Westbrook, I agree with you. Those two together would be pretty dominant if they both stayed healthy. And Russell Westbrook is rarely, he'll play through injury. He doesn't care.
You're the third Knicks fan I've spoken to recently that isn't sold on Julius Randle.
When we get to the Knicks pick, I will explain. I promise I'll explain.
Okay, leave us in suspense. I like that. Very good. Good podcasting, Nick. The Charlotte Hornets are on the clock now with the 11th overall pick. They seem to have gotten the LaMelo Ball pick right. It looks like he's going to work out. For once, there seems to be a little hope in Charlotte, and that's a team that really, really needs it. Let's give the Hornets another guard. By my estimation, the third best point guard in this draft. In my opinion, it's not Sharif Cooper. I know I'm in the minority on that, and that's perfectly fine. But I'm going to give them Jared Butler, the other Baylor point guard. Jared Butler is a very, very talented player, a ton of accolades, first-team All-American, obviously won a national title, most outstanding player in this past tournament. No one helped his stock in this draft in the Big Dance more than Jared Butler. Can score all over the place, great shooter, really good defender, needs to add a ton of muscle, not very physical. He's going to get bullied around in the NBA a lot. But I think Jared Butler can be a George Hill type in the NBA. What are your thoughts on him?
Well, a couple things I like about him. He stayed. He had the opportunity last year to declare, and he didn't. Came back. Jared Butler has absolutely sold me that he's going to work out in the NBA. And I'm not saying he's going to be a long heralded starter or a Hall of Famer or any of that. He is going to be a rotation player for 10 years in this league. And the reason is because of how well-rounded he is. You're right. Extraordinarily, and by the way, extraordinarily average as far as his size and his frame. He almost looks, I was about to say sickly. That's not fair. He's a great shooter. He almost looks a little, I don't know, like I just feel like there's more growing to do, but he's 21 or he's turning 21. Is he going to get any bigger? He needs to work out more, clearly. You're right, he's going to get bullied around. But the bottom line is you will rarely find guys who are this versatile on the floor. He can shot create. He can shoot. He can hit three-pointers. He can shoot free throws. He's what we say it. We are the worst, you and me, about saying this, but he is the definition of jack of all trades, master of none. He does it all. He does it all.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. You're the first one to say that in this mock draft, not me. I'd like the record to reflect that.
We do it more in the NFL draft.
We do. We really, really do. It's kind of funny, the differences between the NFL and the NBA draft. The just difference in what you need to look for versus, player comps and stuff like that. Very, very different. I always found it fascinating. San Antonio Spurs on the clock at 12th overall, a stranger to the lot. What are the Spurs doing?
Well, unfortunately, the Spurs' needs are way down the board for me of how I've evaluated these players. So for me, when that happens, I have to go with the best available player. It is not a position of need. I need to stress this. This is not a position of need for the Spurs. But it is the best player left on the board right now, and I cannot let him drop any further. I'm going to go, not my alma mater, but my favorite team in NCAA basketball. I'm going James Bouknight out of UConn right now. And there's a couple reasons for that. There is nobody better than Pop at evaluating, at making, he's the Belichick of the NBA, about making more out of a guy than in his system than you would think. Now, this is a really good player, and I think you can agree with that.
No question.
Incredible size, good length in his arms. He's just one of these side-to-side, impossible to stay with in defense. He's a rebounder at his position, and he's 6'5", and he gets to the boards. He moves. He can play multiple positions. He has experimented at point guard. They've moved him to small forward in college, to be fair. What are the knocks on him? Obviously, is not exactly he's not exactly the most consistent shooter. He's a streaky player. He is better off his own play, meaning better off the dribble. He isos a lot, and the thing is, there are these moments where you see this kid in the passing game, and you say this kid could play point guard one day. And I'm looking forward. There is no true to form point guard to take right now, but James Bouknight out of UConn might be able to facilitate that role and others. I like this pick. What do you think?
No, I really like Bouknight. I think his size is incredible, really good length, fantastic scorer. He kind of faded in and out of games at UConn a little bit. There were moments that I wanted him to really step up, and he didn't. You're right that he makes his own shot better than he does catching and shooting. He reminds me a lot of Jimmer Fredette in that sense. I'm not saying he's going to turn into Fredette, Okay, I'm not saying he's going to turn into Fredette. I like Bouknight, and I think this pick can work, but his game is very Fredette-like to me.
He's raw. He's very raw, but if there's anybody who's going to straighten him out, it's Greg Popovich.
No question. The Barry Trotz of the NBA, not Bill Belichick. Barry Trotz.
Okay.
The 13th overall pick belongs to the Indiana Pacers. Obviously, they failed with Nate Bjorkgren. They brought back a familiar face in Rick Carlisle. Great move by them. I love Rick Carlisle, wanted him on the net. I would have gladly fired Steve Nash to bring in Rick Carlisle. Okay, proven winner in this league. Get Rick Carlisle. Fantastic move by the Pacers. I'm going to give the Pacers a point guard here. I'm going to give them a guy who I'm really high on. Evidently, you're not, Nick, but no, I like this guy. Trey Mann, out of Florida. Kyrie Irving-like ball handles. Great shooter. I mean, his numbers are just off the charts. Not a good defender. Really needs to add muscle. Shies away from contact a lot. But there's a little bit of Kyrie in his game. I gravitate to that as a Nets fan. What are your thoughts on that?
I got to tell you, there's a reason I walked away from Trey Mann there. Don't think I forgot about him. I didn't. I cannot stand with a point guard who, when someone's kind of boxing into him, they're trying to drive into him, just kind of olays. There's something about that bothers me. Also, I don't think he has a great basketball IQ. I know he's a good passer. He's pretty good, but when you're I don't know. I think it was like 4-3 assists to turnovers. When that's your ratio, it means you're making bad decisions. And he needs to really watch more film, get it, study more, study his plays better. Look, he's going to a great basketball town, by the way, in Indiana.
Yeah.
But he's got to really bury his head in the books and learn the strategics of the basketball game and really try to find himself. Because right now, all he is to me is a point guard that can shoot. That's all he is. He'll pass because everything runs through him. But his decision-making needs to get better. He needs to be I'm sorry, I'll be PC. He needs to be more authoritative on the perimeter and not Olay guys. There's a reason I walked from Trey Mann. I don't know if you can teach that. That's what gets me.
If anyone can, it's Rick Carlisle, though. Don't overstate the importance of Rick Carlisle to that Pacers team. If Carlisle is with the Pacers last year, they get into the playoffs and aren't bound in the play-in tournament.
Yeah, all right. Listen, I just worry about it. That's all. I think it'll be fine, but I just worry about it.
The 14th overall pick belongs to the Golden State Warriors. We're ending the lottery now. The second pick that the Warriors have in the lottery, this is their own pick. What are the Warriors doing?
I got to tell you, man, Warriors, just like the Magic, just like the Thunder, are one of these teams that have a chance to completely refacilitate their team, and there's an obvious choice for me. You just shored up the center, so I'm out on that. Look, they're behind Klay Thompson, so I'm going to stay behind Klay Thompson. I think he's still one of the better shooters in this league when he plays. So I'm doing the only thing I can do. And I'm going to take a short flight to Kentucky and pick up Isaiah Jackson. So 6'11", with a over 9-foot standing reach. This dude is huge. Good for passing lanes. He's an incredible athlete. He's a rim protector, which they desperately need. They already have it now because we already gave them Alperen Sengun. I mean, not to say he's the best defender in this draft, but he's certainly a good one. You bring in two guys like this to shore up your backcourt, your front court, they're going to absolutely wreak havoc. This could be like the Twin Towers incumbent, you know what I mean? Not that they're both 7-footers, but he's small. He has to put on some weight. 206 pounds. I don't even know how 206 pounds is healthy at 6'11". He's a great defender, but he needs to work on his feet. He tends to be able to get beat by some of the better back down and face down offensive players. Not a great scorer, but that can come. And he turns over a lot. So, but I like Isaiah Jackson out of Kentucky. Obviously, I like the system. I like the coach. So I'm going Isaiah Jackson right here.
You know, it's kind of funny. The balance of the Warriors now makes a ton of sense. You've got the Splash Brothers in the backcourt, and you've got the really good defenders in the front court with guys like Wiseman, Sengun, and now Jackson. So
and Green's still there. Don't forget.
Right, Draymond Green. Yeah. No, you're 100% right. Jackson needs to add a ton of muscle. There's no way around it. If he doesn't add muscle, he's going to flee out of the NBA very quickly. But we've all seen the pictures of Giannis. Okay, I'm not saying this guy's turning to Giannis, but Giannis filled out. These guys can fill out as they get older. So, yeah, Isaiah Jackson can turn into something pretty darn good. There's a little bit of Brandon Wright in his game.
Ooh, like that one.
Thank you. These NBA player comps are so much.
Way, think about this lineup. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Isaiah Jackson, and Alperen Sengun. Jeez Louise, man.
That's a really good closing lineup. No question about that. Let's move out of the lottery now with a playoff team. The Washington Wizards bringing in a new coach, Wes Unseld Jr. Bradley Beal seems to want to stay with the Wizards. Russell Westbrook will probably stay with the Wizards, although you never know with him. The Wizards really need a center because Thomas Bryant being out really hurt them. I like Bryant, but he has injury concerns. There is no center worth taking here, okay? You can't take Charles Bassey here. Way too much of a reach. So I'm going to go with a small forward. All right, the best player available is a kid out of Michigan whose brother plays in the NBA. I actually think he may be a member of the Wizards. I would just need to double check. No, he is not. I was wrong about that, but I know he used to play for the Wizards. He used to play for the Wizards. I just didn't remember if they still had him or not. It's Franz Wagner. Sue me. I didn't know where Mo Wagner plays currently, although I really did like Mo Wagner coming out of Michigan. Franz Wagner is now a Washington Wizard. He is taken with the 15th overall pick. Like I said, best player available. Fantastic size, 6'9", 220 pounds. Really good defender. Great two-way player. He's not athletic. Okay, he's not very fast, and you can't teach that. He's not a guy who's going to run in transition a lot. He's going to struggle on transition defense. There's no question about that. But I do like his scoring ability. I think he can score in the next level. I think that his defense, when he's set after the Wizards score, will carry him in the NBA. Franz Wagner is the pick here. I'm surprised he fell out of the lottery. What are your thoughts on Wagner?
Well, your surprise surprises me. This is a kid who gets beat off the ball constantly. I mean, I think he scored 12 points a game last year. He's just one of these.
Nothing in college. In all fairness, 12.5 points isn't nothing in college.
No, it's not. I'm just saying he's not one of these guys scoring 16, 18, 20 points a game. He's not, and that's obviously the top end of that is very rare. We all know that.
I was going to say,
20 points a game, like you should be out your first year. I get it. I'm just saying he's not. He doesn't blow you away. Slow off the get. He needs to someone needs to light a match under his ass to remind them that when he's playing defense, he needs to, he needs to like be able to follow. And he's going to go up against some of the best ball handlers in this league. He's going to see a Steph Curry, a Kyrie Irving. He's going to see these guys, and they're going to blow him away. Not to say that he's going to be guarding them, but these kind of ball handlers are scattered all over the league. I just think he is a slow go guy. It's going to take a while. The Wizards are trying to win, and he's going to take time. Now, the good news is he's going to a team with Russell Westbrook, one of the best facilitators of our time, who can make it easier for him. So that's what I would say. Get him in space, get him close to the rim, and I think he can do damage. But I'm not blown away with this pick, but I'm not mad at it either.
Okay, I'll take it. Your criticism is fair. I think that Westbrook can motivate Wagner too. Like, I like the idea of Westbrook mentoring Wagner a little bit. If Westbrook takes on that role, I have no idea if he will or if he won't.
Whether he knows it or not, I think that's the role Westbrook was born for. I think he needs to be more of that guy now in his career, where he just lights a fire under somebody and says, "Hey, not good enough. Let's go."
And you know that I'm not a big Westbrook fan, by the way. Like, you and I really diverge on him.
I know. And because I know he comes with baggage, and I know that's what you hate. But
right.
He also comes with this intensity to the game that I love. I can't get enough of watching. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
This is your first of two straight picks for the Oklahoma City Thunder. They have a chance to really speed up their rebuild here. 3 picks in the top 18. They can get back into the playoffs very quickly if they get these picks right. And funnily enough, you've made all 3 picks so far, or you're going to make all 3 picks.
I am going to make all 3 picks. This is great.
Yeah, what are the Thunder doing at 16?
Well, we got our shooting guard, and as much as I want to say, oh, okay, so let's look at the other positions of need, I'm not reaching. Like you said before, I'm not going all the way down the board and reaching for a center. It's not that time yet. There are some options. I can double up, or I can even go so far as going a different-ish direction. But I think for right now, I think the best thing to do is appreciate a guy for what he is, and for how talented he is, rather, I should say. There's a kid I love out of a school I love because I used to play lacrosse, and I'm sure you already know who I'm going. I like Jalen Johnson out of Duke. Couple things. They need an explosive, strong, long, small forward on that team with a severe ferocity. This kid is a great defender. He pretty much can guard every position. He's got incredible basketball IQ. He rebounds. He does everything. What are the problems? The problems you would expect with a kid like this. Kind of a crappy shooter. Not necessarily his shot, but just the way it looks. And again, another guy with an awkward release. It doesn't he needs to really spend a whole summer just working on it. And he's a one-trick pony again. He's not a big. He's a drive and lob kind of guy. He's a predictable guy. And on top of that, I think he needs more offensive. I need to see more offensively out of him for how big he is to make him translate. But I do like Jalen Johnson. I don't like that he came out of Duke because it's not a bad basketball school, but it's not exactly what you think about when you think about the great basketball schools of all time.
Well, in terms of transitioning their guys over to the NBA.
Exactly. I'm talking about it's not the program we see a ton of NBA players coming out of. But,
right.
Who knows? I mean, he's got the size, he's got the playing ability, and the question with a lot of people is going to be like, well, who did he play? Why are we drafting him? Who did he play? Probably nobody. I don't know. But the point is, he still did what he did, and he is the player he is. I like this pick. I like this kid. I think Jalen Johnson's the right pick here.
Yeah, the ACC wasn't as strong last year as it's been in years past. And Duke wasn't as strong as it's been in years past. This was a bad Duke team. There's a reason that Krzyzewski's leaving now. Johnson is a guy with a really good frame, 6'9", 220 pounds, can guard any position, really good in transition. You're right that he doesn't have a good shooting stroke. You're right that he's going to need to change his game a little bit. But there's a lot of Tobias Harris in him. He has to turn into a guy like Tobias Harris.
That worries me because there's another guy we looked at and kind of said the same kind of things about, and he didn't overcome it. So,
well, Harris has been a really good player, just hasn't been great.
He's just, I mean, like, to where he was drafted, he hasn't translated.
No question. No question about that. He's been...
By the way, why do you think it is that these guys who play in Duke and play among one of the great coaches, one of the greatest coaches of all time, just don't seem to translate all the time? What is that? Like, Nick's got lucky with R.J. Barrett. He seems to be coming into his own. Zion's obviously a monster, but over the years, it feels like not enough of these guys has earned, like, the track record isn't great. What do you think it is?
You know, that's a really, really good question. And it's something that I've thought about in the past, to tell you the truth. It could just be something as simple as Krzyzewski's game and the style that he runs is so different from the NBA that transition from college to the NBA is a little starker for Duke guys than other guys. I mean, Cam Reddish hasn't been great. He's good, but he's not great. You know, even a guy like, Jason, well, not Jason Tatum. I was going to say Jason Tatum, but no, he's turned into something really good. The Celtics have underwhelmed. There's no question about that. But Tatum's worked out.
Tatum's amazing. There's no way around it.
Yes, but Jabari Parker isn't. Marvin Bagley isn't. Jahlil Okafor isn't.
Yeah, it just seems like they all turn into good players, not all of them into, like, stud players. And you would think a guy like Coach K would, like J.J. Redick, Grant Hill, Shane Battier, all good players.
They come in very coachable. That's the thing. They come in willing to listen to the coach. I can't remember a story of a Duke player saying, I can't work with this coach. Get me out of here. Kyrie Irving got there at some point, but he had been in the NBA for a while before he did that. If you call Zion Williamson a coach killer, I think that's a little unfair, but I understand where you're coming from. I think it's something as simple as Mike Krzyzewski's system is so different from the system that's run in the NBA that it's just hard for these guys to make that transition. I think it's as simple as that.
Interesting.
The 17th overall pick belongs to the Memphis Grizzlies, and I'm going to give John Morant a running buddy in the backcourt. By far and away, the best player available in this draft is Keon Johnson out of Tennessee. Yeah, I was just about to say, I have no idea how this kid slipped to 17. I had him as the 10th best prospect in this draft. How did he get to 17?
But that's the fun part about this, man. It's the fun part. We drop all these people. I wanted to take him, but what am I going to do? Take two shooting guards?
I know. They drafted by the wrong team. I'm glad he didn't do that. Johnson is a freakish athlete. All right, he checks all the intangible boxes, really aggressive, really competitive, really good playmaker. His game hasn't transitioned to that. This is more of a potential pick than it is a guy who's going to come in and help you win right now. This is like a Patrick Williams type pick as opposed to an Anthony Edwards type pick. But if Keon Johnson works out, and I really, really think he will, the Memphis Grizzlies got themselves a really good player, a player who could turn into Jaylen Brown. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I mean, this is one of those dudes that that I just don't have a question about. You know what I mean? Look, there is certainly, by the way, there is certainly negatives to his game. Of course, he's young. He's not completely developed. He's I got to be honest with you, not the best ball handler out there, but that takes time. He's young. And again, he's not going to be playing point guard, but even so, in his passing game, he's not the best decision maker. Yeah, I just like everything about his game. The only thing I think he needs to work on, put on weight. Like we say this about a lot of these kids, but it seems like
they got into the NBA so young. That's why.
But it seems like a non sequitur. It's like you don't need to mention it. Like, no, we do need to mention it. It's 180 pounds soaking wet. Like, what do you mean don't mention it?
No, you have to mention it.
The other thing is his jumper needs to get better, and specifically when he's being contested. And also needs to work on his free throw shooting. But honestly, these are little concerns for me. Keon Johnson's going to be awesome. A volunteer going to the Memphis Grizzlies. I love it.
The 18th overall pick belongs to the Oklahoma City Thunder, like I alluded to a little earlier. Nick, you're Sam Presti again. What are they doing?
Oh, boy, buddy. There's a kid I really want to pick, and I'll tell you after I make this pick. I don't think I'm taking him. I really don't think I'm taking it as badly as I want to. Look, I'm going to do the right thing by the Thunder and just fill out their roster because there's a kid here that I really do think fits. So I'm going to go ahead and take Kai Jones out of Texas.
Thank you.
Point guard, 6'10", 218 pounds, out of Texas. This boy man is freaking huge. He's a freak. I mean, this was a track and field guy before he was an NBA player. Keep that in mind. Extraordinarily fast and quick for his size. He's going to be an incredibly energizer. Think like a Bismack Biyombo kind of energy player, floor to floor. And I like the fact that he took the extra years. Couple of things. He kind of hasn't had a lot of big teams to play against, so I don't know what he is. But having said that, he's going to grow. He's young. He's probably going to grow another inch or two. He'll probably wind up being a 7-footer or 6'11". He's probably going to put on about 30 pounds of muscle, and he's going to be great. I don't know how great his offensive ability is going to be, but having said that, this is still a 6'10" guy who can shoot from three. Not great, but can shoot from three. And he doesn't – the only thing I'll say is, again, one of these jack of all trades, master of none. Sorry, I'm the second again. But there's nothing he does that screams to me that is an NBA player. All of it says, oh, that's an NBA role player. He could sit on the bench and play, but he is still an incredibly talented kid. I love Kai Jones. The kid I was talking about, I cannot wait to see where Josh Giddey goes because I really was tempted to double up and go Josh Giddey.
Keep Josh Giddey's name in mind for this next pick. A little bit of a spoiler alert there.
All right.
I found myself watching a lot of Texas basketball this year. I don't know why. I just found myself watching them more than a lot of other teams. And Kai Jones really jumped off the TV screen. There were games where he was the best Longhorn on the court. And this was a good Longhorns team. He had some really good players there. Greg Brown, Jericho Sims, et cetera, et cetera. So for Kai Jones to jump off the tape like that was really impressive to me. Really good shooter, ton of potential, good athleticism. reminds me a lot of Jeremy Grant. And I'm talking this Jeremy Grant. The Jeremy Grant that he's turned into with the Pistons. That's who Kai Jones can be. The 19th overall pick belongs to the New York Knicks. Last year, we traded picks so that Nick would get all the Knicks picks and, he could fill out their roster the way that he wanted to, but there were 4 Knicks picks to do and 4 Nets picks to do, so it's just a little too hard to rejigger everything. So I promise to do right by Knicks fans, okay? I'm going to make these picks. I'm not going to do it as a Knicks fan. I'm not going to do it as a Knicks hater. I'm going to do my job as Leon Rose. You have my word. I'm going to prove it right now, okay? I just said I was going to take this guy. Let's do it. Let's take the best player on the board, Josh Giddey out of Australia. Nick, you brought him up. What do you like about him?
First of all, he's a prolific shooter. He's extremely young. I think he's still 18 years old, I think. He's big. He's tall. I like him as a wing on the Knicks. I think he can help as far as – and he is just an unbelievable shooter. 48%. I looked this up, Jake. 48% from 3, over 6 attempts per game. That is insane. Okay, that's literally every other shot. That's a 3.
And this is against professional players in Australia's National Basketball League. Don't kid yourself; those guys can play.
Yeah, these guys. When people hear about these guys from overseas, they think like, "Oh, well, it's not like the college game." I'm like, no, you're right. It's better than the college game because they're professionals and they're paying the money. Okay?
100%.
So I always take that with the people who say that with a big grain of salt. I have a few things like he is one of those guys who's just gonna what's the word? He's not great inside. He doesn't know how to finish around the rim. Not yet, anyway. He's kind of one of those guys that's a catch and shoot or a dribble, post-up shoot. But when it comes down to getting in the middle and putting one up, if you're in that position, he's not great. He is very, very much so a one-trick pony. He is a shooter. There's not much else about him. He is a shooter. He's not going to create shots. He's not going to do anything else. He's going to shoot. But what does this team need right now? We need shooters. If we're going to follow this thing, and I'm not huge on him, if we're going to follow this new big-time MVP candidate, we need to surround him with some good shooters, some good shot creators, and we need to get him some better defense. This kid fills those roles. I think he's going to be very, very good.
Okay, explain this to me. Like I said, you're the third Knicks fan I've spoken to recently that isn't sold on Julius Randle. Julius Randle is the best Knick there's been since Kristaps Porzingis. Maybe All-Star team, was almost an Olympian. In fact, should have been an Olympian. A lot better than JaVale McGee, okay? Just to be clear, why don't some Knicks fans, a sizable percentage of Knicks fans, like Julius Randle? I seriously don't know the answer to this.
Because we've been through it before, Jake. We've been through it before. We've seen guys like this come through here and supposed to be the guy that's – think about this. Ask a Kings fan. You know, that's a good question. Ask a Kings fan, right? Ask him how it felt to get a guy like Tyreek Evans, one of these one-hit wonders, right, and have to deal with, oh, my God, this is the guy. And then, oh, yeah, there was just one good season. Better example, even a better example, Aaron Brooks. Think about Aaron Brooks. He has one incredible year. You know what I mean? Rockets fans are going insane. We got the guy. And then he does nothing. Julius Randle has had one outstanding year. Excuse me for thinking it might have just been a fluke. I think he's a good player. I think he's going to wind up being, you know, a perennial, maybe an all-star possibly, but I'm just trying not to get my hopes up.
You'll take a perennial all-star. Just to be clear, you'll take a perennial all-star on the Nets. You haven't had that in a long time.
Yeah, I get it, but you got to understand where Knicks fans are coming from. We've been not cheated and lied to, but we have been what do you call that? Bamboozled before. Staten Mello, Eddie Curry, okay?
Guys.
Allen Houston. We're tired of it.
So it's not hatred of Randall per se as much as it is you're just waiting for him to do it again. Is that fair?
I'm waiting for the other shoe. That's all I'm waiting for.
if Randall has another year like this and even, dare I say, gets his act together in the playoffs, because I thought you were going to bring that up, will we hear Knicks fans' tune change?
I will not bring up the playoffs from Randall because Randall hasn't had that big of a test in his career. Not at the status as he was walking in. That was his first time as an MVP candidate walking in knowing I have to be the guy. Did he fall short? I don't blame him for that. Okay? I blame the Knicks for not surrounding him with the talent that he needed to make that moment happen. No, I think it's more so. To answer your question, Jake, if he has another year like that, will I change my mind? Absolutely. You want to know what I'll be worrying about the next year?
What?
I'll be worrying about whether or not he wants to stay with the Knicks.
No, fair. Very, very
These
fair.
are the worries of a Knicks fan.
No, definitely. Hey, how do you think I feel? The Nets stayed freak in all these seasons after this coming season, so we're in the same boat. We really. Hey, great, it's the Nets title, but
the Nets and the Knicks only get 1 year at a time. All we get ever.
Yeah. Yep.
No, except for your 2 finals appearances, you son of a gun.
That was a long time ago, though.
I don't think you were born yet.
No, I was born. I remember it.
What was that, 93, 94?
02 and 03.
Oh, wow. Why did I think that was so much longer? Oh, no, you're right. 02, 03.
93 Drazen Petrovic.
Right. One of those was against the Spurs, I believe, right?
Spurs was 03. We lost in 6 games. Lakers was 02. And we got
right.
Yeah. that's when I was getting into basketball. That's how I became a Knicks fan. The Nets were good and the Knicks weren't, so I became a Nets fan.
Brutal those series. Jason Kidd was great though.
Yes, he was, but Todd McCullough wasn't. That's why they lost. The Sonic Center.
All right.
20th overall pick belongs to the Atlanta Hawks, the team that beat the New York Knicks in the first round. Made it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals, beat the Sixers after that. Came close to an NBA Finals appearance. The sky's the limit for the Atlanta Hawks in the near future. It wouldn't surprise me if they won a title in the next 5 years. What are the Hawks 20?
I like Corey Kispert here, and the reason I like him is because he's the best guy left on the board, on my board anyway. I like Corey Kispert for a lot of reasons. First of all, his size, his weight. He's got a great wingspan. Kind of a semi-3-and-D kind of player. But it's not so much his defense. It's more importantly, he seems like an incredibly smart guy. Has a great basketball IQ. I had this. Like a 2.8 assist to turnover ratio. Look, he is not a guy that's just going to dribble and waste time for no reason. Everything he does is with purpose. Incredible defender. I like the kid a lot. He tends to be a little stiff. He's not exactly the most fluid player I've ever seen. And again, another one of these one-trick pony kind of guys. But I like him going to Atlanta. He's the best left on the draft. I'm not reaching for a center, which is really what they need. But I like this kid right here. Corey Kispert will help them tremendously. Probably in a facilitary role off the bench, but I like him a lot.
There's going to be a team that's desperate to take a guy like Charles Bassey. Resist that urge. I like Bassey, don't get me wrong, but resist the urge to reach for him. Corey Kispert is probably the best catch and shooter in this draft. He has a Joe Harris ceiling, although granted he's a lot taller than Harris, a lot more muscular than Harris. Really good cutter, good defender. I like this pick for the Hawks a lot. That makes their offense a lot scarier. And I didn't even know that was possible.
Hey, by the way, teams that are desperate for a center, do not reach for me here. Don't do it.
The 21st overall pick belongs to the New York Knickerbockers. They got this from the Mavericks in the Porzingis deal. It's not unfair to say that trade has worked out for the Knicks. They need to hit on the pick, but Porzingis certainly hasn't been great for the Mavericks. I want Porzingis on the Nets. I think he fit the Nets perfectly, but Porzingis at this moment is still a Maverick. The biggest hole that the Knicks have is at point guard. I didn't want to take him at 19 because I don't think he's worthy of being a top 20 pick. At 21, I'll do it. And Knicks fans will love this guy. Knicks fans will instantly gravitate towards him. I'm going with Jaden Springer out Tennessee. You do love it? Okay, good.
Love it.
In all seriousness, I'm glad you said that because you're a Knicks fan. You can endorse my picks that I'm not sabotaging them. I'm really not. I think Jaden Springer would work perfectly for the Knicks. Really, really good mid-range shooter. Doesn't seem to let the pressure get to him. Makes really good decisions. Really good defender. Plays the game the right way. I think Tom Thibodeau will love him. And he's young. He's just going to get better and better and better. I really like Springer. What are your thoughts on him?
First of all, one of the more active players in this draft. I've watched him swat away balls from big men trying to dunk and just smack it out of their hands. All right? He is just an outstanding defender. He's active. He's got this explosive, violent movement to his steps, everything with purpose. He's a good shooter. He's a good three shooter. He hits free throws. Everything about him. My biggest knock on him, a little bit more turnover prone than I'd like. He almost turns the ball over as much as he passes it. But the Knicks need a kick in the ass, and that's exactly what this kid is. He's a kick in the butt. That's what he is. He's gonna act. He reminds me my player comp. Honestly, just based on the way he plays, I'm not saying the production. He reminds me of Russell Westbrook. He does. He is just balls to the wall all day long. Does not get tired. Explosive. Half court to half court. Just does his job. He can back down. He can drive. He can cut. He can shoot. He's everything. I love this kid. I hope he becomes a Knick.
Can I make a very weird player comp for him? And I understand that this guy didn't work in the NBA, but in college he was great. You ready? Do you remember Joe Forte from the turn of the century Tar Heels?
I do, as a matter of fact. Okay, well, Joe Forte was a highly touted prospect, though.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
And he was actually taken with the 21st overall pick in 2001.
Oh, that's so weird.
Yeah, it didn't work out in the NBA, but in college he was dominant.
Oh, he was terrific. Yeah, no. I remember Joe Forte pretty well because around the time, well, not around the time he was playing, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Joe Forte played with Jordan, I think, right? Didn't he?
No, he did not play with Jordan.
Are you sure? Because he was around the... No. He was shortly after. Forte was turn of the century. He was around
with a guy like Brendan Haywood.
No. You're right. I'm sorry. I'm thinking too far back. No. But I do know the player. What did he go to the Hawks or the Celtics? One or the other.
Celtics. You nailed it.
Celtics. Okay,
Celtics.
there you go. And then I think the Supersonics for a cup of coffee.
Yep.
Back when that was a team.
Let me ask you this. As a Knicks fan, I've taken Josh Giddey at 19 and taken Jaden Springer at 21. Are those good picks for the Knicks?
You got us our point guard who, though not an incredible facilitator, is an absolute shot creator, whether it be for himself. And you also got us one of the better shooters in the draft who I really, really do like. And honestly, a professional. That's the thing that gets me, that you got him. He's a professional.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's done it before. Not on the NBA stage, but he's done it before. So
the LA Lakers are on the clock with the 22nd overall pick. The biggest thing that they need can't be drafted. They need LeBron to stay healthy and Anthony Davis to stay healthy. It's the truth. I'm just being honest. Where are the Lakers going at 22?
I just don't know, because what do you do to a team that's supposedly perfect? They got their center, they got LeBron, they got they got all these players. What do? You get shooters. That's it. Get shooters. I don't know, man. I'm kind of flip-flopping on this, but I suppose I shouldn't be, because I mean at this point it doesn't really matter. But I would like a guy who's just an outstanding catch-and-shoot guy with a guy like LeBron. This one's easy for me, to be perfectly honest. I'm going Chris Duarte out of Oregon.
Ooh.
Playing with LeBron, this kid is a catch-and-shoot nightmare. Think Klay Thompson with Steph Curry. He is just going to drain and drain and drain all day long. He's got great mechanics. He's super solid. He's an older guy. He stayed his whole way through college. He plays. He's not a 3-and-D guy. He's kind of just a 3 guy. He has the length to become a defensive problem, but he can dribble, and he is a good defender. I just don't know if on the NBA level that'll translate. But I like Chris Duarte for length.
LeBron James and Chris Duarte together would be absolutely lethal. What's the one thing we've been screaming for all of LeBron's career? Surround him with shooters. Surround him with shooters. Kyrie Irving, shooter. Ray Allen, shooter. So, yes, 100%, this pick works. I have Moses Moody ahead of Chris Duarte on my board, but to be honest with you, I like the fit of Duarte with the Lakers more than Moody. So this is a very smart pick, Nick.
I like Moody, but they have plenty of 3-and-D guys. They don't need another one. What they need is a true-to-form shooter. So.
Right. The Oklahoma City Thunder are back on – no, excuse me. I apologize. The Houston Rockets. Yeah, wow. Okay. I just had a mix. Wow. Okay. Let's try that again. The Houston Rockets are on the clock with the 23rd overall pick. Obviously, they took Jalen Green with the 2nd overall pick, so I'm not going to give them another shooting guard. I'm sorry, I'm still recovering from the mini stroke that I just had. Wow, I don't know what happened there. You know what? The Rockets need talent. They really, really do. The James Harden trade really sucked the life out of that team. You saw how bad they were afterwards. So let's give them a really, really talented player, a guy who I would really love on the net. Unfortunately, they don't get him. J.T. Thor out of Auburn. For starters, his last name is Thor. Okay, he's going to work out in the NBA. Really, really good stretch for, really good frame, really good athlete, ridiculous wingspan. over 7'3" wingspan. Reminds me a lot of Al-Farouq Aminu. What are your thoughts on Thor and my mini stroke?
Your mini stroke, listen, it happens to everybody. I guess is what you're saying. As far as Thor, I like the pick. You didn't reach, which is nice. He's got the size of the center, so maybe for the time being he can kind of sub in as a I don't know, what sort of Kendrick Perkins kind of deal where he's power forward one series, center the next. I like the pick. He's got the size. He's definitely a talented player. Again, here's the thing I'll keep saying about all these big men. He's a young kid. He's undersized. As far as his weight is concerned, he's going to get bullied around in the paint. And I know you need to keep somewhere between 220, 230 now as a power forward because you still have to guard guys like Kawhi Leonard or LeBron James or Kevin Durant, and these guys are all extremely fast. Paul George comes to mind. However, he does need to put on more weight. He's going to get bullied at that size, but his height is great. And I think this is the right pick for the Houston Rockets. I think it fills another hole. I kind of filled a hole they didn't need when I picked Jalen Green. You know what I mean? But, again, it came down to talent. This is filling a need. They need a power forward. This is a good pick, and I like it.
Funnily enough, they're back on the clock with the 24th overall pick. So, Nick, you're back on the clock for the Rockets. What are they doing?
Yeah, this kind of sucks for me because no, I'm serious. It really does. I don't like having to pick the same team. I'm surprised I don't like it because I feel like I should. Here's what I'll say about my next coming pick. This is a reach. It's not the reach you think I'm about to make, so don't get at me. But it is, in fact, a reach. And this guy is still very, very raw, but what they need right now is a guy like this. Houston Rockets have nobody leading that offense right now, and that's what they need. And I don't necessarily think it always has to be through a point guard position. It has to be through assists and passing. Sometimes it's just getting up there and saying, hey, this is what you need to be doing. Do it like I do it. I'm going to go ahead right now and get Nahshon Highland out of VCU. This is early for Nahshon, for sure.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
You don't think so?
I have him as the 29th best player in this draft. You're taking him at 24. That's not a reach. I like Bones. Go ahead.
I just feel like based on his skill set, look, this is a shooting point guard. This is a self-shot creating point guard. But I feel like it's what the Houston Rockets need. They need to see a guy get up there, 68 to 82 games, and just shoot the lights out and say, that's how you do it. Do it my way. Also, very good rebounder and an incredible defender. He had I think he almost averaged 20 points a game last year. This kid's going to be great in the NBA. And I think along with him, Jalen Green, and now JT Thor, this is a new regime coming in all together, just ready to dominate in the West. I like it. I like them growing together. I like the idea of them playing like this together. So, what do you think?
But you have shooters on that team now. You have guys who can shoot the lights out. Bones is a high-level three-point shooter. Make no mistake about that. The knock on him is that he's 169 pounds. The guy's built like a
tiny.
Yep. He honestly reminds me a little bit of Chris Chiosa, but he's going to be better than Chris Chiosa. Okay? If I had to do a proper player comp for him, Nick, you'll appreciate this, Emmanuel Quickly.
Ooh, that's actually not a bad one. I wasn't a huge fan of him, but it's not the worst comparison.
Yeah, thank you. So, no, seriously, thank you. No. That came off a lot worse than I meant it to. Seriously, no, I appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Appreciate that. Moving on.
Oh, God. Still recovering from my mini stroke. No, I'm only kidding. The 25th overall pick belongs to the LA Clippers. Really, really sad story with them. They could have made the NBA Finals for the first time in their franchise's history, but Kawhi Leonard gets hurt, and the Phoenix Suns beat them in 6 games. Another injured team that the Suns feasted on. I know I said that a lot throughout their journey, but it's the truth. Once they went up against a healthy Milwaukee Bucks team, they lost. The story of these NBA playoffs was injuries. And that is a terrible, terrible thing for the NBA. So I'm going to take a point guard here for the Clippers. I want someone other than Rajon Rondo. Rondo tailed off. I know they have Patrick Beverley, but give me another point guard, someone who can help Beverley out a little bit. Let's go with Miles McBride out of WVU. There was actually a time in my life when I wanted to go to WVU. Nick, I don't know if you know that, but that's actually true. McBride is really, really athletic, really good defender. He's a leader. He can score. I think he has that potential. Reminds me a lot of Ramon Sessions. What are your thoughts on Miles McBride?
I like Miles McBride a lot. Again, but the one thing I like about him most is how complete a package he already is. 6'2", 200 pounds. He's grown into his body. He plays with a certain type of I don't know. What do you call it? Like a certain type of moxie. I really enjoy. Sorry to be like the old guy in the room. Honestly, like I sound like the old man. The kid's got moxie. No, I just
whippersnapper.
No, look, he's a shooter. He had a poor season the year before as far as his shooting percentage, but he cleaned it up. His free throw shooting has gotten better. He rebounds. He passes really, really well. He's a great defender, as we saw, and he scores. He scores to a high clip. I think he can be a Rookie of the Year candidate, sleeper. But this kid he's going to the right situation with the Clippers. Think about that team, right? This kid's going to get to play with. You stay with me. Like he's going to get to play with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George on the same team.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Match made in heaven for McBride. Let me ask you this. Would it surprise you if we saw a Nets Clippers NBA Finals next year? It wouldn't surprise me.
It wouldn't surprise me. I think I definitely think LeBron has some tricks up his sleeve because we all know he's the real GM of the Lakers. I'm sure somebody else is coming or something's going to happen.
Right.
But assuming the teams stay the same, boy, I think a Clippers-Lakers could go down to 7 games and the Clippers could win and eventually face the Nets. Yeah, I completely agree with you.
The 26th overall pick belongs to the Denver Nuggets, another injured team that the Suns beat. No Jamal Murray. What are the Nuggets doing?
Nuggets have a bunch of issues, don't they? But none more cheap. Look, none more cheap than they don't have a point guard. Let's be very, very real about that.
They have Jamal Murray.
Okay. Look, look. If you didn't hit right away, you're probably not going to hit. It's kind of where I'm going with that. I am in the camp that what they need is a difference maker personally, and there's a guy I really, really like. Smart kid, obviously, based on where he went. Good basketball IQ, shot creator, strong, an incredibly good ball defender. I'm going with Zaire Williams right here, and for a couple of reasons. This is a dude who's yes, got to put on a little bit of size for sure, but very quick, explosive. He's one of those guys who can go from 0 to 60 in a minute. Really good pull-up shot. Great step back shot. If you watch his step back, kind of kicks out and leans and still makes the shot. It's incredible. Good ball handler. I just like everything about his game. And most importantly, something a lot of these defenders in this draft are missing. He's one of the better off-ball defenders in this draft. He is constantly in passing lanes. He rotates. He sets picks. He is just an absolute nightmare for an offense to try to account for. I like Zaire Williams going to the Nuggets.
Okay. I like Zaire Williams too. I don't want to knock him. Yes, he's built like a pencil, but no, he is. I mean, he's 6'8", 185 pounds. For goodness sake, the guy's built like a pencil. Really, really good shot maker. Can hit a bunch of different shots. But I'm sorry, Nick. Over Moses Moody? Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you. I still think. Look. So you're telling me the Nuggets over Moses Moody? Over Moses Moody that's your big gripe with me?
I'm telling you that if you were going to take a shooting guard, take Moses Moody, not Zaire.
I disagree wholeheartedly. I can't even tell you how much I disagree.
Okay. All right. I mean, look,
matter of fact, Jake, I'm willing to bet another steak dinner.
No, you still owe me that steak dinner, by the way.
I'm well aware of that.
When you come down to New York, I'm going to come to your house and drag you to Peter Luger's to buy me a steak dinner.
I told you I would. Listen, I owe you that steak dinner. That's happening. For the record. Here's the thing. Moses Moody doesn't defend. I mean, well, first of all, he does, but he's one of these lazy guys. You know, you ever hear the knock on what's his name with the freaking Denver Broncos? The knock on Von Miller that he's just a one-down guy, he waits for third down, and then he turns it on. That's
right.
Moses Moody in the defense. That's what he does. He's not an active defender. What's up?
Not a good defender. No question.
He's a good defender. He can be a great defender. He just takes off plays.
But he has to put it on tape. That's my point.
No. So for me personally, that speaks volumes. I don't like guys like that. And more importantly, shooting like I think he was under 30% from three. I don't know, man. I'm happy with my pick. I'd rather take Zaire Williams in a heartbeat.
So we move on now to the 27th overall pick that belongs to my beloved Brooklyn Nets. You like how I did that, Nick? I ended up picking for the Nets.
You have to pick my team and yours. This is bull crap.
I would love to give the Nets a stretch 4. That's what they need more than anything. But with JT Thor off the board, there's no stretch 4 worth taking. So I'm going to fill their second biggest need. They need size. They need rebounding. It's part of the reason why I want Porzingis. Blake Griffin's a free agent. Nick Claxton wasn't playing a lot in the playoffs. God only knows what you're going to get from Reggie Perry. So let's get a really good center. This is not a reach for him. We bypassed him enough. I know we've wanted to take him, but now is the time. Out of a small school in Western Kentucky, Charles Bassey, really, really good rebounder, fantastic shot blocker. If you were to write down on a piece of paper what the Brooklyn Nets need, it would look a lot like Charles Bassey. He reminds me a lot of Clint Capella. What are your thoughts on Bassey?
I mean, we've waited long enough on him. I think the only, I suppose, like the only real issues I have with a guy like Charles Bassey come in the same vein as everything else we say about a guy. Where he played. Western Kentucky, not exciting anybody. But here's what gets me about Charles Bassey. He is NBA ready. Look at the size of this man. 6'11", 230, maybe 235. He's a giant. He's grown into himself already. He's going to come in and make problems immediately for defenses. I'm excited for him. I'm really excited for him. And the fact that he dropped so low, I think we're wrong, by the way. This whole draft thing you and me do, this is just what we would do. I think Charles Bassey is going to get picked way up the list. I really do. I don't think a center like this falls this far. But I like the pick here. It's a smart pick.
There were a lot of center-needy teams in the early 20s, late teens area that could very well take a guy like Bassey because he's a safe pick. He's going to be in the NBA for a really long time. Maybe won't make any all-star teams, but he'll be in the NBA for a while. So you're right that he could be taken higher. It wouldn't surprise me at all, by the way, if the Brooklyn Nets traded up to get Bassey. If J.T. Thor, because J.T. Thor is the number one guy for the Nets, okay? There's no question about that in my mind. If J.T. Thor gets taken really early and there are no stretch fours available for whatever reason, it wouldn't surprise me if the Nets traded up with their seconds that they have to secure Bassey. They may need to do that.
Entirely possible.
Yeah. So we move on now to the 28th overall pick. The Philadelphia 76ers are on the clock for the first time in the draft. Where are the incredibly disappointing Sixers going to go? And the Nets are incredibly disappointing too, but the Sixers are in that same boat.
I mean, well, they need a big-time point guard, but they're not going to find it now. The cards have been dealt. And what they really need is a big-time stretch forward, and that's not available. You've already alluded to that. So what do I do in these situations? Anytime I find myself looking for something that's not there, I just say, okay, who's the best left? And I just go down my personal list. Because what else do you do? There's nothing else you can do.
You're right.
This seems like a pick I'm not going to be in love with. Because to be perfectly honest with you, I'm not in love with the guy. I don't think he's. Are you really going to take him? Are you really going to take who I think you're going to take? I think I am.
Oh,
Look,
come on.
He's not going to drop
the guy.
What's that?
You just killed this guy.
Oh, no. I'm not taking Moody yet. I'm not taking Moody yet.
Okay, withdrawn.
I'm not taking Moody yet. I'm going to take somebody else, and you're going to yell at me for this too. And I'm not in love with this guy, by the way, because he's far too raw. But I think there's so much to his game that can be hashed out. I'm taking Joshua Primo out of Alabama. Here. Over Moody. Yes, over Moody, because I don't need a guy who's lazy. Anyway.
Good God.
No. Don't do that. Don't do that.
All right. There's no way on this earth that Joshua Primo is going to have a better career than Moses Moody.
I'm not saying he is. I'm saying that Joshua Primo, I think at this point, is a more active player. He's more a floor-to-floor player, offense to defense. He runs the floor well. He's a decent shooter. That's what I'll give him. He's a decent shooter. He can shoot the ball. He can shoot it from three. And he's active on the boards, by the by. Just saying. Smart basketball player, doesn't turn it over a lot. I like the pick. I like this kid a lot, and for some reason I like Alabama shooting guards a lot.
Colin Sexton.
What's that?
Colin Sexton.
Yep. So I'm taking Joshua Primo over Moody because if I'm a team, I look at Moody's play and say, yeah, he's really, really good, but is he going to be that lazy around us? Like, I don't know. I don't like Moody. I obviously you figured it out. I'm not a Moody fan.
Hey, that's okay. You're allowed to be moody about Moody. Do you remember, or are you too old for this? the show or the little vignettes, Moody's point on what was it? The Amanda show, right? Did you watch that?
I don't think so. No.
Oh yeah, I remember Amanda Bynes. Come on.
Oh yeah. I might be a little too old for that.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Josh Primo is a really, really good athlete. He's skyrocketed up my board all throughout this process. Really young. He has a ton of potential. There's a little bit of Terrence Ross in his game. Josh Primo is going to be a good player. Not good as Moody, but Primo's going to work out. See, this is now an interesting subplot to track how good Moses Moody's gonna be over guys like Duarte and Williams and This is now kind of interesting. I like that. Hey, in all seriousness, assuming this happens, we can actually use this as like a fire in his stomach. Like, all these guys were taking over me. I'm going to prove these teams wrong. It wouldn't surprise me. The Phoenix Suns are on the clock with the 29th overall pick. The last thing on earth they need is a shooting guard. They have Devin Booker. So, obviously, Moody is not an option. Chris Paul had a great season for him. There's no question about that. But can he do it again? He's not getting any younger. I think that's a question that needs to be asked, but I'm not going to take a point guard here. Don't worry. I just think that's noteworthy when talking about the Suns' future. Instead, I'm going to take a power forward, a guy who I really like, played internationally last year, but he does have college experience at Gonzaga. You know what I'm talking about. Let's go with Filip Petrusev out of now Serbia. Really, really fundamentally sound. He's not the quickest player in the world. He needs to shuffle his feet better. He's not the best defender, but he has a lot of those true center skills that I like. He's 6'11", 225. So, he can play multiple positions and he'll work out. I see a little bit of Smith, former New Orleans Hornet or New Orleans Pelican, whichever one he played for. I can't remember when they made the transition off the top of my head. In Petrusev, what are your thoughts on him?
I like him a lot. I think this is a smart pick here. I value the overseas game because he has played professionally. However, I will say this. Not much of a throw shooter. He's active on the boards, and he's not the greatest defender. He's going to get bowled over by some people. He's big, don't get me wrong. But when it comes to the NBA game, I feel like there's going to be a bunch of centers and power forwards who can just roll around him or just go right through him. Defensively, he's going to be a liability, I think, initially, but I think he can learn. I think this is a kid who's going to be a very, very good player moving forward. He showed signs of a three-point shot, but last year it was not the case. But I think he's going to work out ultimately, so I actually don't mind this pick for Phoenix. I think it's exactly what they need.
Let's close out the first round with the Utah Jazz. Nick, you have the honors of closing out the first round. We're halfway through this mock draft special. Right. Who is going to be the last first rounder taken here?
Well, here's the thing. Again, I always go to the hey, what do they need? Utah Jazz have no point guard. They don't have a stretch forward. They probably need a center. All of those things are nowhere on my radar right now. So what do? You either reach for a guy like Isaiah Todd or Isaiah Livers or Jason Preston, or you do the right thing and finally give a chance to the kid you've been overlooking this entire time. Yes, Jake, Moses Moody finally comes off the board.
That's hysterical. Yeah, in all seriousness, if Moses Moody slips to 30, that is a fantastic landing spot for him. The Jazz be doing backflips to get Moody.
Oh, my God, could you imagine? Look, we explain to the people every time, this is not what we think is going to happen. This is what we would do, and we have to deal with each other's decisions, just like a real draft. Having said that, it is very unlikely.
In a way, I actually think it's more realistic this way because, let's be honest, half the people who do mock drafts that say, hey, I have ins, I have connections, this team is targeting this guy, this team hates that guy, they're full of it.
Yeah, right, exactly. So, there's a lot of shade and misdirection going on, which isn't exactly what's going on here. One day, Jake, I want to get 30 people in a room, all allowed to trade and do all that stuff, and do a full draft.
That'd be awesome.
It'd be so silly, but it'd be so funny. Anyway, I like Moses Moody. Look, I don't like his sort of nonchalantness about the game. But look, he's a great 3-and-D guy. He's constantly getting to the line. He draws fouls. He's a good passer, which, by the way, they need a point guard. There's a chance Moody could turn into the exact kind of point guard they want. I don't think he will, but there's a chance, and they can use him in that way. I'll keep all my current thoughts about him, but he has to be a first-rounder, which is why I felt very incumbent upon me to make sure I at least put him in the first round.
Okay, I do appreciate that. I really like Moody. I have Moody as the 14th best player in this draft. So for him to slip to 30, to me, is stunning.
Hey, by the way, that's not just me. That's you too, big boy.
Yeah.
I didn't do this alone.
No, you know what? You're right. You're right. Although I will say, in all fairness to me, the 3 picks of shooting guards that were made after Josh Giddey was taken were all made by you. So it's not like I have Giddey ahead of Moody, but I have Moody ahead of Duarte Williams-Primo, and you took Duarte Williams-Primo. That's in all fairness to me.
Whoa. Back up there, buddy, because according to me, okay, let me ask you a question. Hold on. Is Moody better than Jaden Springer?
On my board, yes, but Springer
Is
fits
he better than Sean? Is he better than J.T. Thor? Those are your picks.
Okay. They play different positions, though. You want me to take Moses Moody for the Knicks?
No, I don't want him.
Oh, too funny. Okay, let's start the second round off now. Like I said, we're halfway through this, and who's starting off the second round but the reigning and defending NBA champion Milwaukee Bucks? It's kind of funny. They win the title on Tuesday. We're a week away from the draft right now. Very, very strange how this calendar worked out. The Bucks need a center. They need a big man. Unfortunately for them, there isn't a great option available. There's a good option available. Okay, and in the second round, you'll look for good. Okay, it's very rare that you find a Manu Ginobili who's going to come in the second round and be fantastic. But this guy can be good. I'm going to go with a state player, Day'Ron Sharpe, out of UNC, old school center, will be in the NBA for a long time. About a decade ago, maybe even a little more recently, Day'Ron Sharpe would have been a first-rounder. He's just a victim of where the NBA is right now. He's the prototypical old-school center. That's what the Bucks need. What are your thoughts on Sharpe?
I have absolutely no notes for what you just said. He is Kendrick Perkins. He is one of these beat-down centers that'll take the punishment. They'll deliver the punishment. They'll be physical. They'll absolutely just dominate on the low block. I love this pick. I think it's exactly what the Bucks need because they're very much a finesse team. And I'll be honest with you. If Giannis had to compete against LeBron or Kawhi or somebody else, it would have been much more difficult, and they would have needed a guy like this. I love Day'Ron Sharpe here. It's a good pick.
The 32nd overall pick belongs to the New York Knicks. Nick, you finally get to make a pick for your team. I already took two backcourt players. Are you going to go front court?
It doesn't seem like I have much of a choice, but again, the pickings are slim. But there is a guy out there I like. But I just think it's a little too early. So I'm going to go for another position need. We need kind of a spread wing player. Again, this is going to wind up being somewhat of a reach. But for me, my money, I think – no, too early still. No, you know, it's not too early. This is going to be very, very much so, what do you call it? Sort of, maybe not a shocker, but I like this kid. I've watched him play. I'm taking Kessler Edwards, and I know a lot of people don't know who he is.
A lot of people don't know where Pepperdine is.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know where Pepperdine is. I don't even know if that's how you pronounce it.
So I think I got that right.
But it's a low D school. They won the CBI championship, I believe, which to me means nothing also, but it means that in a big moment amongst his peers, he was able to shine. Let me get to the point. Great shooter, great on blocking shots, shot content, excellent on-ball defender, tons of steals, and a active passer, though not as active as you'd like to see, but great on the rebounds as well. Shoots free throws, shoots threes. I like this kid a lot. I think a kind of swing forward is another area of need to keep the Knicks from reaching all the way down for a center. I'm going Kessler Edwards right here.
Really good two-way player, hurt by the fact that he went to Pepperdine, obviously a small school. I'm stunned that you took him over Trey Murphy III, but that's the beauty of this draft. We have players ranked differently. Even though we think alike, we're also different in some senses. So, hey, that's an interesting pick, and I think the Kessler Edwards would fit very well with Tom Thibodeau.
Oh, I completely agree. I think Tom Thibodeau is another one of these masters of being able to get A+ results out of a B- player.
I did not like that hire at the time. I got it incredibly wrong. Thibodeau has been perfect for the Knicks. No question.
He has. I've really enjoyed having him. By the way, the reason I didn't take Trey Murphy is because I didn't feel the need to draft another shooting guard. Look, I know he's probably a top 20, top 15 draft pick, but there was a position in need, and I think Edwards fills it.
Okay. All right, fair enough. The 33rd overall pick belongs to the Orlando Magic. I'd love to give them a front court player, but it would be too much of a reach. So let's go with a shooting guard. For my money, this guy is a first-round talent, but he slipped out of the first round. That happens in the NBA draft all the time. Let's go with Cameron Thomas out of LSU. I know what you're thinking. LSU, isn't that a football school? No. Cameron Thomas is a really, really good player. He can score in a million different ways. He's not a good playmaker. He's not great with the ball in his hands, initiating. He's good when he can just go, go, go. His instincts are great, but his basketball IQ needs to be worked on a lot. But Cam Thomas can be a weapon off the bench, similar to Lou Williams. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going to go with. This kid is going to be a sixth man of the year one day. That's how good. That's his ceiling for me. And I know that sounds like, oh wow, that's it. Like 26th overall, 33rd overall pick. Yeah, I think sixth man of the year is definitely in his wheelhouse. He's going to come off the bench, light a spark, absolutely annihilate some teams in the 12 minutes, 20 minutes that he plays. And I think that's going to be his role moving forward. I think the Magic is a great place for him to wind up to do that. So I really like him. He'll probably have some starting minutes as well. But I really do like this pick for the Magic.
The 34th overall pick belongs to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Where are they going?
Well, Oklahoma City Thunder. I said Thunder. Oklahoma City Thunder. Yeah, I know. Let's all have a big laugh at Nick's expense. Anyway, the Oklahoma City.
I put a lot.
Look,
my favorite moment. One of my favorite moments of you is on Beyond the Game. We were talking about the Mets when they had the three-headed monster as their GM, Omar Minaya, Allard Baird, and Rico. As you said, nothing run by three people is ever good. And I thought right away, that's not true. This show with me, Dominic, and Eric was excellent without you. You just set me up for that, and I hit it out of the park.
Oh, God. That was very, very funny. Anyway, here's my thought. It's hard for me not to go after a center here, just based on how desperate the need is for the Thunder to have just some kind of shot blocking, rim protecting presence. And I'll be honest, Luka Garza is very, very tempting, but I am way reaching if I go for Luka Garza right now. So the only thing I really feel like I can do is go for the best available guy. I know we took a shooting guard for them already, but you know what? Nothing exceeds like excess. Now I'm going for Trey Murphy III. Oklahoma City doubles up. Think about this. We have drafted Kai Jones and also Jalen Suggs to this team. They bring in Trey Murphy III, who, by the way, with his size, can easily, as long as he puts on some weight, could easily move into a swing, small forward sort of player. He's a great shooter, mainly a catch and shoot shooter. He's not great off the dribble, but having said that, his shot is terrific. He's extremely refined. He's a good player, and I like this pick out of Virginia right here for the Thunder.
It's kind of funny. I actually have Trey Murphy as a small forward. Really, really good shooter. Not the greatest defender in the world, but in terms of player comp, you think of guys like Jason Tatum. You think of guys like Mikal Bridges. You think of guys like Cam Reddish. You think of guys like Darius Baisley. You think of guys with a lot of talent. You think of guys with great measurables. Trey Murphy III, if he grows into his body a little bit, can turn into a really, really player and a steal for the Thunder in the second round. No question about that.
Absolutely.
The 35th overall pick belongs to the New Orleans Pelicans. And Zion Williamson was a very exciting player in college. Had more hype around him than maybe any college player since Anthony Davis, since Patrick Ewing, since some of the greats of the game. In terms of college dominance, you'd be hard-pressed to find a more dominant player than this guy who I'm going to take. I loved watching him at Iowa. I was stunned that the Hawkeyes didn't go further in the Big Dance. I think that this kid can pan out in the NBA if given a legitimate chance. The Pelicans solved their center issue because Steven Adams did not work for them. They will trade him. I feel confident in saying that. Luka Garza goes to the Pelicans at 35. Like I said, you just watch Hawkeyes games. He jumps off the tape. He's incredibly exciting. I understand that he's not very athletic. I understand that he's slow. But he reminds me a lot of Inez Cantor when I transition his game over to the NBA. I think he'll have moments like Boban Marjanovic where he just does things that make your jaw drop. Zion Williamson and Luka Garza together sounds pretty exciting to me. What are your thoughts on that?
I like the pick. It's just, again, the reason I didn't do it for the Thunder is because I felt like at this point it's a little bit of a reach. It just, to me, it is, and it still is. He's definitely got all the goods. I think he's going to be one of those diamonds in the rough. It's going to take a lot of time to really get everything you want out of him. But I do like his landing spot. Him playing alongside Zion Williamson will be outstanding. And think about this, based on our draft, who else do we have going over there? We have Sharif Cooper lobbing up passes to Zion. This kid protecting down low. I think this will be fine. I think this is a good pick. I think it's a reach, but I do think it's a good pick.
See, I have Garza at 45. I'm taking him at 35, so maybe it's a little bit of a reach. But like I said, the excitement factor will just be off the charts. They'll have a bogey effect for the Pelicans. Who's on the clock now? The Oklahoma City Thunder. For the fifth time, Nick, you're making a pick for the Thunder.
I'm trying to repair this team.
My God almighty. I won't get the pick for the Thunder until 55. Think about that.
Well,
Go ahead.
You can deal with it.
Go ahead. What are the Thunder doing at 36?
36, I don't feel bad about doing this. It's certainly a position of need. And I think it's one that I've ignored for long enough. The Thunder I think about who we've drafted so far. We fixed their shooting guard problem with Suggs. We have fixed their power forward need with Kai Jones. We've gotten Jalen Johnson, and now most recently I've been able to pick up Trey Murphy III somehow. At this point for me, it really feels like best player available. I don't know how much further I'm supposed to reach down for a center. The next best center I have on my list is a guy I've barely heard of. Neemias Queta. I know so little about this guy. Well, I don't know nothing about him.
Shaq. You didn't know that?
What's that? Is it next Shaq? I'm just saying, I know so little about the guy, it's hard for me to draft him. It's either this or I go best available. And I'm flip-flopping, obviously, which is why I'm stalling. Geez, you know what I mean? Oh, boy. I can't get them another shooting guard. I can't get behind it. Yeah, Jake, you know what? I don't really feel like I have a choice. All right, screw it. I'm going Neemias Queta out of Utah State. Here's the thing. I do know a little bit about the kid. He is a freak of nature. I think the last game he played, he had like 9 blocks. He is huge. He is physical. He has a big vertical lead. He reminds me, I know this is the easy comparison to make for big guys like him. He reminds me of Mutombo. Like, he just leaps up, gets rebounds, and swats shots away. Great field goal percentage. He's very polished, a little awkward with his movement, but he can score. He needs to work on his footwork. He needs to work on his his establishment to a position, meaning when he's trying to take charges, or rather box out a defender for a rebound or back him down. But he's a terrific young athlete. I don't feel bad about this now that I think about it. And I love that he stayed the extra year, 2 extra years, and he's built into his body already. So this is a good pick, I think.
Look, he needed it. Keita, at least I think that's how you pronounce it, is very, very raw. He's going to require a lot of development. There's no question about that. But you can't teach height. You can't teach muscle. He has that. He can turn into a good rebounder. He can turn into a shot blocker. He reminds me a lot of Eric Dampier. Remember him? Eric Dampier. I think that's a very fair player comp for Keita. So you gave me a lot of time to think about my pick for the Detroit Pistons. I fixed their point guard need. Now I'm going to fix their power forward need. Obviously, they bought out Blake Griffin, so no power forward. They can replace him with a really good player, a guy who was thought of very highly once upon a time. Let's go with Isaiah Todd out of the NBA G League Ignite. I'm really excited about this kid's potential. I think he can turn into something really, really special. There were games with the Ignite where he looked like a man among boys. Really, really good finesse player. Can stretch the floor a little bit. His defense needs a ton of work. There's no question about that. He needs a little bit of development. I think he could actually spend more time in the G League, but Todd has a lot of potential. What are your thoughts on that?
I like Todd. He was the one I was thinking of before I thought about Keita, but I just couldn't really commit to him. There's a stigma about guys coming out of the G League because I don't think we have enough. I think from Europe and from overseas, we have enough information where we can make educated decisions based on a guy. I don't know that we have that with guys coming out of the G League, even though it is a semi-pro league. I like his size. I like how polished he is for how young he is. So I don't hate this pick. I don't know if he's going to be an impact player right off the bat for the Pistons, but he's definitely going to be a rotation player who makes an imprint for them. So I think this is the right pick.
The 38th overall pick belongs to the Chicago Bulls. This is their first pick in the draft. What do they do in the 38th?
I have no idea. Because the Bulls are in kind of a weird position where they kind of need a bunch of things. They need a center. There's no real big center available. They need a point guard. I don't love any of the point guards. They need forwards. So the Bulls are in kind of a precarious, so to speak, situation. However, as badly as I want to just get the best player on the board, I don't feel I can just go out there and get them Quentin Grimes because I don't think it would do anything to shape their team. So for me, personally, I look at a situation like this and I say, okay, well, Petrusev's off the board. You just took Isaiah Todd. What else do they need? I'm looking down a little bit further. I must love the Alabama guys this year because I'm going to go a little further down, and I'm going to reach for a guy named Herbert Jones out of Alabama for the Chicago Bulls. They need a stretch forward. They need a guy about that size. They need somebody as active as that, and I think Herbert Jones fits the bill. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I like Herb Jones. I saw a lot of Alabama this year, and Jones had games where he was the best player for the Crimson Tide. Your 100% right. Alabama had a really good basketball team. Obviously, that's a football school, but their basketball team was pretty good too. I mean, they played really, really well. Jones is a fantastic athlete, really good frame, versatile defender. I'm not crazy about his offense. I think he really needs to improve that if he wants to stick in the NBA. But he reminds me a lot of Dorian Finney-Smith.
Ooh, that's a nice player comp. Wow, I'm going to write that down, actually.
Oh, okay. I like that. He can develop into something. There's no question about that. He has the potential. You just need to work with him if you are the Bulls. The 39th overall pick belongs to the Sacramento Kings. And the Kings are kind of a weird team. I fixed their biggest need by taking Usman Garuba with the 9th overall pick. So I'm going to fix probably their second biggest need, which is point guard. I'd like De'Aaron Fox to get a little bit of help. Let's go with another member of the Ignite, Dashin Nix. Like I said about Isaiah Todd, very, very highly recruited. He's big. He has a great frame. He's a pass-first point guard, one of the best passers in this draft. Maybe his impact with the Kings will be a little limited because they don't have any great scorers outside of Fox and maybe Marvin Bagley, if I'm being generous. But I think Nick can be a really good player if he's surrounded with talent. What are your thoughts on Dash and Nick?
I mean, if he's surrounded by talent, that's the thing. And I don't deny that there's a new injection of talent down there in Sacramento. I just worry about him working with guys who haven't fully, and I do mean like fully exerted themselves onto the NBA scene. I am a little hesitant with this pick, but I also think it's a pick of need. So I think at this point in the draft, it's acceptable to reach a little bit. And this isn't even a reach, really. Honestly, you're kind of. I feel like you're nailing it.
I have Knicks as the 39th best player on my board, and I'm taking him at 39.
Yeah. Do you really? All right. I think I have him down at like 45. But regardless, not even much of a reach. Even if it is a reach, it's not much of one. So I like this pick. I think you're right on the money here. So I don't mind it at all. It fills a position of need. And I just want, when are the Kings going to dig out of this hole? With the players we've gotten them, they should be able to. So, or you've gotten them, I should say.
That's a job I wouldn't. GM of the Kings. No thanks. 44th pick belongs to the New Orleans Pelicans. What are they doing next?
I mean, they got themselves a center. They got themselves a point guard. I mean, at this point, I feel like it's best player available for me. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm trying to look around my board. I have them all crossed out, though. I think the best player available, I can go ahead and take him right now. I'm going with Quentin Grimes out of Houston. This is a no-brainer for me. I'm shocked he's dropped this far. Quentin Grimes out of Houston. He's going to be my pick right here. I like his size. Got to grow into his body a little bit more, but he's going to be an immediate impact kind of guy. And to get him this low in the second round, I don't think there's any question that this is a steal of a pick.
Can play both guard positions. Great frame. Really athletic. He's 6'5" and can move really, really well. That's very, very impressive. I have a weird player comp for you, Nick. You ready? And this may make you crazy. Emmanuel Mudiay.
I hate Emmanuel Mudiay. I don't hate him. That's not fair. Sorry. It just didn't work out.
No, it didn't. Oh, my goodness gracious.
But I do see where you're coming from with him. Yeah.
The 41st overall pick belongs to the San Antonio Spurs, and they have a bunch of different directions that they can go. I'm not going to take another shooting guard for them. That would be ridiculous. So instead, I'm going to go the other guard position, point guard. The best point guard available is David Johnson. No, not the running back, the point guard out of Louisville. I think this kid can turn into something pretty good. Really good frame, very strong. He needs to develop his offensive game, but Johnson does have a lot of potential. What are your thoughts on him?
Again, raw talent, got a lot of work to do. And I'm not being hyperbolic in any way, shape, or form. I think he's going to have an impact. I just don't know how immediate it's going to be. I think he's going to get limited minutes off the bench, despite despite having a decent college career, a couple years in the NCAA. His shooting percentages climbed in his sophomore season. He's a good passer. He's active on the boards. I just think this is going to be one of those project guys, despite how well he's grown into his body. And it's going to take a little time before we see him have impactful minutes for the Spurs.
I agree with you 100%. The 42nd overall pick belongs to the Detroit Pistons. What are they doing?
I have no idea again. I mean, the Pistons are one of these albatross teams like they have now. Think about it. They have Cade Cunningham right now. And we also, I think it was you, just brought them Isaiah Todd. So two of their biggest issues are already gone. For the Pistons, I guess now you take best player available. I went to Quentin Grimes. Honestly, he would have been perfect here. Having said that, he's not available. So my next best player on my board, I'm gonna go with. Am I correct? Yeah, Josh Christopher out of Arizona State. Yeah, I'm gonna take him here. They need some shooting guard help. It would be better if he was a true to form small forward, stretch forward, because that's more so what they need. But having said that, he's got great size, great length. His stats last year were terrific. I think he shot like 42% from the floor, almost 15 points a game. He's an active rebounder. Another one of these shooting guards is just kind of an all-around guy. What does he lack? Not much. What he does lack is good judgment. He's a good defender. He's a great on-ball defender, great in transition. He's got great movement, great size. Everything seems great about him. He needs to develop a three-point shot. But he turns the ball over a little bit too much, and he gets into foul trouble a lot. That's another concern. So if he can shore those couple things up, I think Josh Christopher is a good pick here.
He's a little bit of a ball hog, which I'm not crazy about, obviously. And with the Pistons, he's going to have to share the ball with Cunningham and Grant and Todd. But Christopher does have a lot of talent with his offensive game. Reminds me a lot of Nick Young. I like Christopher. I think he can turn into something special if he uses his noodles a little bit.
Yeah.
The 43rd overall pick belongs to the New Orleans Pelicans, and I did not plan this. I really didn't. It just happened to shake out this way. I just took Luka Garza for them not that long ago. Who was the Robin to Garza's Batman?
No way.
Yeah. The live cam. You remember when we did the NFL mock draft? I took all the high players for the Dolphins because of Tua, and it just happened to shake out that way.
Right, exactly.
That's what's happening here. Joe Wieskamp goes to the Pelicans, really good shooter, had a good combine, reminds me a lot of Joe Harris. I think Wieskamp can turn into a good shooter, and obviously, I love the fit. What are your thoughts on that?
Look, I like the idea of guys who played in college getting the opportunity to play together. I do like it. It's happened before. And I like the kid. I like their vibe together. You know what? I think this is a good pick. Just based on nothing else, I think this is a good pick, and I think it'll ease their transition because they'll have somebody to bounce off of. So I do like this. This is a smart pick. This is a good pick, and it helps Garza kind of find his way in the NBA. So this is a smart pick. I like it.
The 44th overall pick belongs to my beloved Brooklyn Nets. Nick, don't mess this up.
Don't mess this up. There's nothing to mess up. You got three of the best players in the world on your team. Not to mention, you just drafted Charles Bassey. Good Lord. Yeah, it's kind of hard to screw this up. It's really, they don't have any needs anymore. And I hate when this happens because I just sound like, oh, okay, just go down your list again. But it really is that simple when this happens. I'm going to go with Ayo Dosunmu, and I'm sure I pronounced that wrong. I love this kid. He's got to grow into his body a little more. He's probably going to grow another inch or two. But he is an outstanding player. He had 20 points a game, a bunch of triple-doubles. He has so many rebounds. He's a big passer from his position. This is a facilitator from the middle of the floor. He's a good free throw shooter. He's a good three shooter. He does everything good. I love this kid. He can play both guard positions. He needs to get a little stronger. He's going to get bullied in the NBA game. There's no way around that. And by the way, not a great sniper, more of a mid-range to long mid-range guy, but I really think he's going to be an outstanding NBA player. And if Brooklyn is lucky enough for him to fall to them, Ayo's going to be outstanding here.
So Sunmo had games at Illinois where he took over. He benefited from playing with Kofi Coburn. The two of them are really good together. And Dosunmu's going to get to play with Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving. It doesn't get much better than that for Dosunmu. I really, really like him. I loved watching him out of Illinois. Really, really good offensive point guard. I see him more as a shooting guard in the NBA. He reminds me a lot of a better Reggie Jackson. And Jackson played well in these playoffs. So I mean that as a very, very high compliment.
Sure.
The 45th overall pick belongs to the Boston Celtics, the first time that they are on the clock here. Nick, where is your hometown team going?
You said the Boston Celtics are my hometown team? How dare you? Am I supposed to take this just because I'm in Boston? I think it's your turn, but if you're giving it to me because I'm in Boston.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, my God. I can't believe I just did that. It's my pick now. You know what it is? Okay. Here's what just happened. Once again, I had a mini stroke, and I saw the Brooklyn Nets, so I automatically assumed that I made that pick. No, it's my turn. I'm on the clock. Thank you for being honest, Nick. I appreciate that. See, I'm just keeping you on your toes. I need you to,
sure.
Cover for me. Yeah. Look, the Celtics really need bench help. That was their big Achilles heel against the Nets. I think Ime Udoka is going to do a really good job for him. The Brooklyn Nets, I don't want to say that they won the Pearson Garnett trade because they didn't. But that trade ended up not being as bad for the Nets as people thought, and not as good for the Celtics as people thought. So, there is a moral victory there. Thank you again for catching me, Nick. I really, really did it. So let's go with Jason Preston out of Ohio. I do like this kid. I understand it's a small school in Ohio. Not a lot of people will probably know too much about him, but he's an old school point guard, really good vision, really good size, 6'4", 180 pounds. Not the fastest guy in the world, but you know what? He can make really flashy passes. I think he can anchor the Celtics bench for a long time. What are your thoughts on, yes, your hometown team's pick?
My hometown team, again. I like Jason Preston. He's one of the better passers in this draft for sure. And he's a junior coming out. He's going to have an immediate impact, I think. Great field goal percentage. He can shoot threes. His free throw shooting sucks. Let's all be honest about that. But an extremely, extremely active rebounder. Think about his size. And I know it's a small school, so maybe cut that down by 3 rebounds. But you know what? Even if that was the case, say the 7.3 isn't what he really had this year if he's playing for a big school. It's probably still like 3 or 4 rebounds a game. You don't get that from a point guard at his size. So I love the kid. I think this is a great pick for them. I think it fills a huge position of need. And all of a sudden the Boston Celtics have a facilitator for Brown and Tatum. Because, look, let's all be honest. Marcus Smart isn't much of a point guard. He's more of a 3-and-D specialist. And, they need it. So I like this pick. It's smart. I love it.
And one other thing about Preston, he was the best player on a Bobcats team that made the big dance for the first time since 2012. I think that's very, very noteworthy.
It surely is. Absolutely is. Yes.
The 46th overall pick belongs to the Toronto Raptors. Let me double check. Okay, this is your pick, Nick. Where are the Raptors going?
There's a really good shooting guard I want to get here, but I just don't know enough about him, so I don't feel comfortable making the pick. It's second round, I get that, but there's another guy I know relatively I know about enough to feel comfortable taking him. I'm going to go with Brandon Boston Jr. I just lost my page on him. Anyway, I'm going to go with him for a couple of reasons. Number one, this is another University of Kentucky guy. I like Kentucky guys. They seem to translate well, even if they don't translate all the way well. Great wingspan. He's very, very in tune with his own body as far as how his body moves in space, how he moves in close with defenders, and while he's defending. Extremely creative. He can back off his dribble. He can accelerate to an extraordinary speed. Great body control. I love this kid. However, he's got to put on mass. He's not a big guy. I think he's like $175 dripping wet. Makes a lot of questionable shots, but a lot of those shots pay off. It's going to be a little bit of a refurbishment project with him, but I like Brandon Boston Jr., and I think Toronto's a perfect place for him. Now he's playing with Mobley. I think this is a good spot for him to play.
Yeah, look, this is the portion of the draft where you can take guys who didn't put it all together in college, and certainly Boston didn't, but all the potential in the world. Brandon Boston has that potential, has the frame, has the measurables, reminds me a lot of Jeremy Lamb. I think Boston could work out.
Yeah, I think he's going to be one of these ones that just works out, yeah.
The Toronto Raptors are back on the clock with the 47th overall pick, and I'd love to give them a small forward here. That is their next biggest need, but it's a little too early for Tron D. Brown. I'm not going to go that route. Instead, I'm going to take a point guard. Not a lot of people know a lot about him, but if you watch the tape, you see a lot of talent there. I'm probably going to butcher this guy's name. I'm sorry in advance. I'll give it my best shot. Here it is. Rokas Jokubaitis out of Lithuania. Here's a guy who can play both guard positions, really good facilitator, really good scorer. Obviously, the international play scares me a little bit. I'm not crazy about his frame. I'm not crazy about his athleticism, and I'm not crazy about his defense. He's a lefty. I think can turn into a very good shooter in the next level. I don't know if you know a lot about Jokubaitis, Nick, but I think he could turn into something pretty good.
I haven't seen a ton of film on him, but I do know his stats. I have them in front of me. Look, he is going to translate, I think. However, he's going to be a little bit of a reclamation project. It's going to take some time to get him used to the NBA game, the speed of it, and all that. So everything that comes with it. So not the big-time scorer that you'd like to see, but his passing is incredible. If you watch any of his film, I know it doesn't translate to the assists per game or whatever people look at, it is important, right? It is an important marker. But the bottom line is he is an outstanding passer. He has a great sense of where people are on the floor. He can be a field general if given the opportunity, but it will take some time for sure.
The 48th overall pick belongs to the Atlanta Hawks. Where are they going?
Well, I mean, the last pick we made for them, I got them Kispert, which I was very excited to do because I think that was just a really good position need. Not necessarily need, but I didn't feel like reaching so far down to get Bassi or to get Keita. They still need a center in this draft, and I feel as though we have dropped low enough. And that sounds horrible, doesn't it? I feel as though we are down far enough where I don't feel bad about going down to a smaller school. Well, not even a smaller school. It's a great basketball school. And picking up a guy that I really, really like. I am going to butcher this name. However, I have seen him play. His name is Sandro Mamukelashvili.
You were close.
I'm fairly sure that's
Sandro Mamukelashvili out of Seton Hall. Yeah.
Yeah. I love his size. This is one of the few players in coming out of this draft who really look like they're built into themselves. This kid is NBA ready right now. He's going to be a rim protector. He's going to be a problem in the middle. And it's something that Atlanta badly needs. So I don't feel bad about making this pick. What do you think?
I like Mamukelashvili. This is a reach. There's no question about that. But the Hawks need a center, and you're right. We're at that portion of the draft where you can reach a little bit, and no one's going to say anything. He can space the floor a little bit. I think he can turn into a solid role player for the Hawks. Yeah, I like watching Mamukelashvili play, and with that, we have exhausted all the draftable centers on my big board. So I don't know if that's ever happened before.
I would tell you get ready for that to become a more common thing because centers aren't coming out in the clips they used to be.
Right, definitely. The NBA has changed. There's no question about that. The 49th overall pick belongs to my beloved Brooklyn Nets. They will run to the podium to make this pick. This shakes out perfectly for them. I wanted them to take a stretch four. Excuse me. There is a really good stretch four available. This guy at 49th overall could make a big impact for the Nets depending on what happens with Jeff Green. I saw him a lot in college, saw him in person. It looks like he can turn into something really good. Let's go with Matt Hurt out of Duke. Like I said, a stretch 4, not a good defender, but is anyone on the Nets a great defender? I mean, He fits perfectly. Reminds me a lot of TJ Lee. I think Hurt could have a big role on the Nets next year. What are your thoughts on that?
I have absolutely no notes on that. I think this is honestly, I think this is kind of one of those ho-hum picks. So, he's just kind of sitting there ready for you to take him. So I just can't tell you enough. I think this is smart. I think it's a good player. Just the kind of fault, like you said, kind of falls in the same vein as other Nets players. But this is a smart pick. So I like it here.
The 50th overall pick belongs to the Philadelphia 76ers. Nick, who are you starting the 50s with? We're nearing the home stretch here.
I know. It feels like just yesterday we started. Oh, that's because we've been going all day.
And this is live, too. Just to be clear, this is live. The mistakes that we make, there's no stopping the recording and recording over this. No, this is live. We have to live with this.
Yep, we all have to live with it. There is no way, shape, or shape, whatever. You know what I was saying. Anyway, I feel as though the Philadelphia 76ers have two main needs, and that was point guard, which I feel like I sort of fixed when I selected back in the first round, halfway through, when I selected Freeman, because he had some background in passing. However, I am pressed up against it here because there's not a ton of great fours out there for me to select, because that's their other big position of need. So you know what? I'm just going to go with the best one available. And I've heard of him before. I've watched him play. Look, Big Ten, so I'm all good with it. I'm going Isaiah Livers out of Michigan. A little undersized for a power forward, but he acts essentially, or he's going to act essentially, as kind of a stretch forward. Livers had a good year this year. I think he's going to aid a team like Philly that's still trying to figure out how they make this all work, because for some reason they can't put it all together over there, despite the immense amount of talent they've had over the years. What's that?
Yay! That makes me happy as a Nets fan.
Yeah, well, it makes me happy as a Knicks fan, but you got to figure eventually. They're going to figure this out. Look, Livers is going to be.
Simmons needs to get his head screwed on straight. That's the issue.
Simmons? How long are we going to wait for Simmons? That's my question.
I know.
When do you just give up and say, all right, this is not who we thought this was going to be? Look,
sooner rather realize they were open to trading him for James Harden. So don't make it seem like it's impossible that they could move on from him. It's not.
It's not. Look, he's kind of a one-trick pony. He likes to drive a lot, but he also is a terrific three-point shooter. He's not much of a defender, but he's got a big frame, so hopefully he can grow into that. I don't know. I like Isaiah Livers here.
Yeah, Isaiah Livers is, I hate to use this term, but you use it. It's my turn now. Jack of all trades, master of none. He's on the older side. He can contribute right away. He can fit any style of basketball that the Sixers choose to play, whether it's spacing the floor for Simmons and Embiid, whether it's a little more ground and pound. I like for the Sixers. I like Isaiah Livers a lot. Saw him in person. Good player. I think he can work out. So the 51st overall pick belongs to the Memphis Grizzlies. They've got a couple different holes that I'm looking to fill here, and I think I'll fill their hole at backup point guard, give Ja Morant a little bit of help. Let's go with a really exciting player out of Colorado. Every time I watch this kid play, I was really excited by what I saw. McKinley Wright the fourth. By far and away, the best player on the Buffaloes for a long time, led them to the big dance last year where they were the 5 seed. They beat Georgetown. They beat them handedly. I think McKinley Wright IV is going to be a solid player in the NBA. What are your thoughts on that?
I like him. He's just one of those dudes who's super well-rounded. I think he wound up ending his season with 15 points a game, close to 50% shooting. You're right. Led them all the way. He's a terrific young player. I love his activeness on the boards. I love the fact that he's a senior coming out. He's stayed all 4 years. He's done his work. He's an active defender. He's a rebounder. He's got a great passing game. There's almost nothing not to like about getting this kid at 51. Almost nothing. So I love this pick.
The 52nd overall pick belongs to the Detroit Pistons. Where are they going?
Well, I mean, we fixed so much with them already. It's kind of hard to begin to figure out where to go from here because, I mean, look, think about this.
I know.
They got Josh Christopher, Isaiah Todd, right? And on top of that, in the first round, we get him Cade Cunningham. It's kind of hard to figure out where to go with them. So you just kind of, I mean, their needs were point guard, they were shooting guard, and they were power forward. If there was a stretch 3 available that I loved, that's probably where I'd go right now. And I'm trying to look right now on my big board. I'm running out of guys. So I may be forced just to go best available yet again. You know what? There is no. You know what? Screw it. I'm doing it. This is going to be – you're going to hate me. Not hate me, but because I don't believe I picked him, although I'm shocked I haven't because I seem to be picking all the Alabama guys today. I'm going to go Herbert Jones out of Alabama. Say again?
He went 38.
Oh, I did pick him for the Bulls. All right. In that case, screw Herbert Jones. He sucks. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back then to a guy. I have had some time now to look up his stats, and they're substantial. Juhan Begarin out of Guadalupe.
There we go.
Here's a guy who's dropped a little bit, and I know it sounds kind of funny to be like, oh, a guy in the second round who was projected in the second round dropped. It's like, yeah, this kid's really, really good. I haven't seen enough of his draft. I've been watching for the last 10 minutes, just watching some film on him. Well, because I skipped on him before. I don't remember who I picked. I think it was Weiskamp or no. I think it was Ayo. When I picked Ayo.
Okay, it was
when
Ayo.
I picked Ayo. I picked over him, and I don't know enough about him. But he's playing for Paris basketball in France. The kid's terrific. He's got a great shot. He plays about 16 minutes a game, which is on par for the international game. Here's the one that sticks out to me. In a tournament, their next generation tournament, this kid had 4.3 steals per game. He's a defender. He's a good rebounder. He's got a great shot. He scores a lot. I don't know how well all of this translates, but he's definitely going to be somebody sought after. And I think this is about the right place for him to drop to. The Pistons can risk taking a chance on a guy like this, so I'm going to go with him right here.
One word describes Juhan Begarin: power. He is just a powerful man, really a man among boys over there in France. Elite physical tools, can drive by any defender, thrives in isolation, reminds me a lot of Lonnie Walker. I think that's what Begarin can be. So we move on now to the 53rd overall pick, the New Orleans Pelicans back on the clock. And they have taken a player at every position but power forward. That's going to change right here. the best power forward available is Jericho Sims out of Texas. I liked watching Sims play out of Texas. He's a good rebounder. He's a good defender. Really good athleticism. Very strong. Reminds me a lot of Rashawn Holmes. Played his role perfectly with the Longhorns. What are your thoughts on Sims?
I like him. I think that we're getting to that point now where you can kind of take project guys, and that's definitely what I think Sims is going to wind up being out of Texas. Slightly undersized as far as his height, but this guy is built like a brick you-know-what house. He is very – oh, my goodness. He is going to bully guys around in the paint, specifically guys that he's going to be expected to keep up with who are going to be smaller than him. So I like this. I like this pick to get Jericho Sims here, and it's a no-risk, high-reward pick. This is a good pick for the Pelicans.
The Indiana Pacers are back on the clock with the 54th overall pick. Where is Reggie Miller's old team going to go?
I hate Reggie Miller. Don't even get me started. Well, we've already fixed their point guard issue. We picked up Trey Mann, or you did, I should say. The Pacers are sort of another one of these teams that's sort of an albatross, because really the only other thing I really feel like I need to do is get them a nice solid power forward. Unfortunately, not a ton of them left on my board here. However, there is a kid I really, really like coming out of the school I really, really like. I am going with Jeremiah Robinson Earl out of Villanova. I like Villanova guys. I think they come in very NBA ready. He's got great size, about an inch taller than, I think he's about the same height as Sims, but a same player profile, very, very similar player in style and in build. And I like the fact that he went to Villanova. I like guys come out there. I think they tend to translate very quickly to the NBA.
Yeah, I'm with you 100% on Robinson Earl. I like him a lot. Really good ball skills. Handles the ball fantastically well. I mean, that's going to help him a lot in the NBA game where you have these players handling the ball for high screen and rolls. I think his game transitions perfectly to the NFL. On the smaller side, he's 6'9". That is going to hurt him. He doesn't have great length, but it wouldn't surprise me if this kid turned into a poor man's David West. How about that?
Ooh, that's a good one. Or even think like a Zach Randolph type. You know what I mean? Slightly undersized, but still moves well, shoots well. That kind of guy.
Very, very possible. We move on now to the 55th overall pick. I finally get to make a pick for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Nick has made all 5 of their picks so far. He's taken every position but point guard. So I've got to give him a point guard here. This is a little bit of a reach, but for the 55th overall pick, you can do it, and no one's going to go crazy over it. Let's go with Dwayne Washington Jr. out of OSU. Really good ball handler. Can change speeds on a dime. Very athletic. Really good driver. Played well at OSU. What are your thoughts on Washington?
What do we start with? Oh, Jesus. I just wrote the wrong thing down. Anyway, I literally, you said that, and I wrote Dwayne Robinson. I was like, I don't know, do I have to look at my notes?
Yeah.
Had a very good final season here for the Buckeyes. I'm not surprised at all of him coming out for the draft, especially in a draft where his stock perceivably would have been higher. Good shooter, not terrific from 3, but not bad either. Active on the boards. He's a willing passer. I just need to see more in the distributing game from him. He's He's somewhat of an abysmal defender. He's got to work on that part of his game, and in a hurry, because at his size, there's really no excuse not to have a great defensive game. But I think he will translate well, and I think he's going to a place where he'll be able to have a successful career. I like Washington here. I have no problem with this.
The 56th overall pick belongs to the Charlotte Hornets. They have back-to-back picks coming up. Nick, where do the Hornets go first?
Is this their first pick? I'm just looking through. Is this their first pick?
No, they had a pick
What am I missing?
at 11.
At 11. Okay, right. Because we sent Butler to Okay. No, that makes more sense though, because I'm like just thinking about it. I'm like, Jesus, they need everything. Is this their only pick? Well, we solved their point guard problems, thank God, or rather you did. So I'm going to go ahead and try to, I don't know how much I can help them this late in the draft, but we'll do our darndest anyway. I don't know if I go off board and just try to find a center, or if I just get them what's available. But honestly, my gut's telling me just take somebody who's available, like one of the higher. Oh boy, this stinks. Charlotte Hornets have slim pickings. They better get this first round pick right.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, I don't know if we've selected him already. And matter of fact, if we haven't, I'm kind of surprised he's not off the board. Have we selected Mr. Austin Reeves yet? Oklahoma.
No, I don't think we have.
I'm actually surprised. All right, that's great. Then that is my pick. They need shooting guard help. Austin Reeves is going to supply that, obviously. He's he's kind of the prototypical size for your typical shooting guard. I would like another inch or two on him, but hey, beggars can't be choosers. Last year, excuse me, I'm so sorry. Last year with the Sooners, he posted close to 20 points a game, 45% from the floor. He's a passer, a distributor. He's a rebounder. He kind of does everything on the floor. He's a senior too. He's been there a long time. Horrible defender. Let's be quite honest about that. Gets beat off the ball all the time. But I got to be honest with you, when it comes down to all the other facets of his game, if all you got to deal with is his poor defense, I think it's worth it. I'm taking Austin Reeves here.
Reeves is one of the best mid-range scorers in this draft. He's a really good free throw shooter. Like, he's the kind of guy who you'll put in late in games for free throw purposes. If you can get a guy like that at 56, do it. I have no problem with that. Yeah, I'm surprised that Reeves slipped this far. I had him as the 42nd best player in this draft. He ended up lasting to 56. Very, very strange.
Very strange.
So, like I said, the Hornets back on the clock with the 57th overall pick. I'm going to give them a big man here out of Texas. Let's go with Greg Brown. Like I said, I saw a lot of the Longhorns this year, and Brown had some really good games, really good tools, natural ability, great feel for the game. I think he has a lot of upside. It's a potential pick. He's going to need a lot of time to develop and mature, but it wouldn't surprise me if he turned into a Marquise Chris type.
It's not unheard of, but here's the thing. He's coming into the NBA hilariously undersized. This is a kid who's going to get pushed around a lot. So I worry about that. Having said that, he came from a very, very good school, a good basketball program, and I think he can overcome that. I'd like to see him be more active on the boards. Matter of fact, at his size, I'd like to see him be more of a distributor from the post. I feel like he has that ability, but we just haven't seen it. He is an active defender, but I just don't know how well, given his size, it's going to translate to the NBA. But having said that, this is a project guy. It'll take a few years just to get him on par with some of the other players on the team. So I don't mind him going to Charlotte. I think it's a good place for him to wind up. And, let's see what happens.
The G League will help Brown a lot. I think you'll see him there for a sizable chunk of the season.
I think so, too.
The 58th overall pick belongs to the New York Knicks. Nick, what are the Knicks doing?
Oh, boy. I'm torn between two guys, but you know what? We already have a good shooting guard now, thanks to you. I finally get to pick for my team here. I am going to go. Yeah, I mean, listen, I like being able to pick for my team. I'm going to go with Joel Ayayi out of Gonzaga. Again, a program that I very, very much like. I know he's a shooting guard too. I know. But he's one of these shooting guards who I think can kind of be a stretch back and forth from point guard to shooting guard, which we very likely will need regardless of the pick you made for me earlier. He's an active defender, two-way player. I like him. I like Joel Ayayi right here.
Can play both guard positions. Really good athlete. Really good playmaker. Can hit the three. I saw Ayayi a lot in the tournament. We all did. I was impressed with what I saw. I saw someone who could turn into a good NBA player. So, yeah, I think this is a solid pick. This is kind of a steal, 58, to tell you the truth. I'm glad he got drafted.
Nice.
The ultimate pick of this draft belongs to my beloved Brooklyn Nets. And I'm going to give them a point guard here. There isn't a great point guard available, but there is a good one, a guy who I think can turn into something. And the Nets have shown an ability to develop point guards. D'Angelo Russell, Chris Chiozza had some moments. Mike James looked really good. Tyler Johnson looked good. So let's go with Marcus Garrett out of Kansas. Great defender, great athlete, no offensive game whatsoever. He doesn't need to have an offensive game when he's playing with the Nets. What are your thoughts on Garrett?
No offensive game to speak of at all. Way to talk up the kid. Holy moly.
It's true. I mean,
my God.
You take a look at his college stats, and to put it lightly, they leave a lot to be desired. He never had a year where he averaged over 11 points per game. Never had a year where he shot 35% from beyond the arc. Never had a year where he shot 46% from the field. He was a really good defender. He was a 3-time member of the Big 12 All-Defense team.
I think the one thing you're forgetting is that he does have excellent field goal percentages. All 4 years he was in Kansas. He's a better
42% every year.
You know what I mean? That matters. He's not a great three shooter. He's definitely not a good true shooter by any stretch of the imagination. But you're right. His claim to fame is going to be defense and defense only. That's what they're drafting him for. And I really do like this pick. So I just thought it was very funny how he worded it.
It's the truth. I mean, I have to be honest here. We'll close this draft out with the Indiana Pacers. Nick, thank you so much for doing this with me. I look forward to it every year for the NFL and the NBA. Thank you so much for all the laughs, for your excellent insight. You mean the world to me.
You do to me as well, my friend. It's good to be with you and good to talk to you as always.
Where are the Pacers going to finish this draft?
You know, it really doesn't matter, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It doesn't, because anybody that drops out of this, right? Anybody who drops out of this anyway. So you know what? I'm just gonna fill fill a spot here with somebody I've never heard of. E.J. Onu. Let's go with him. He's a center. Honestly, I have no idea who he is, but they need a center, and he has great measurables, and that's all I have to say.
Yeah, wow, out of Shawnee State, E.J. Onu. Do you even know what the nickname for Shawnee State is?
No, I don't.
They're the Bears.
Oh,
The
Bears.
Shawnee State Bears. He dominated there, put up great numbers, actually shot the ball well, really good wingspan. Sure, 60th overall pick. This guy could be the next Rick Smith. Why not?
He's Mr. Inconsequential. Nobody. All right, who cares?
Well, that about does it, folks. 60 picks in the book. Nick, what do you have going on in your life?
Oh, nothing much. Just working, getting ready for my last semester of college, and looking forward to finally being able to eventually move back home to good old New York.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to spend too much time in Boston either. I don't blame you for wanting to come back.
Beautiful city. It's great to go to visit. I don't want to live here anymore.
You have those sports teams to root for. I mean, come on.
I hate all of them though. That's
I hate the Red Sox. I hate the Patriots. I hate the Celtics, and I hated the Bruins for a little bit. So, yeah.
It's brutal.
Until next time, I am Jacob Valk saying that the two biggest expenses for Yankees employees are coming and going away parties.